and it's down to 2. Elio Castroneves is a winner. Dixon wins his 4th of the year. This is what he needed. This championship is going to go all the way to the final race. In any sporting arena, you want the big teams, the big names going head-to-head, vying for the title, and that's what we've got here in Southern California at Auto Club Speedway for the MAVTV 500. Ganassi versus Penske, Dixon versus Castroneves. I'm going to show you this dynamic graphic as we have done in past races to show you the overall picture of the championship. Look in the middle of your screen, car number 9, Dixon, because when he wins those 3 races in a row, his season really takes off. Up until that point, it was very much Ryan Hunter-Reay and Elio Castroneves, and then just 2 weeks ago with Scott Dixon winning and Castroneves having those troubles for the first time this year, Dixon was the championship leader. So let's tell you a little bit more about this 33-year-old New Zealander. Tonight, Scott Dixon makes his 220th open wheel start. He has enjoyed much success, including 2 championships. He came to senior level open wheel racing as the 2000 Indy Lights champion, and at the tender age of 20, he joined the Champ Car World Series and won in his 3rd race. That kind of shows you what he's done. He has won championships in every single category that he has competed in. It has been a stellar career, and he is regarded as one of the best all-round drivers. Hey, Jan, it's enough of us talking about him. Let's talk to him.
Absolutely. And, you know, you look at that graphic prior, and you saw some of those photos there looking back through your career. Pretty amazing. You've been able to win a championship in each of those categories, and you've won here already twice in the IndyCar Series. But I wanted to ask you about that graphic where we saw you shoot ahead in the points. You were 49 points down, and now you're here plus 25. That's an amazing feat.
I was kind of more interested in the blonde hair. Did you see that? That was that was pretty crazy. So yeah, Houston, race 1 and race 2. We could have probably done with the extra 10 points in race 2 at Houston. You know, Will drove a fantastic race and was really aggressive and did what he could for the team to try and help that. So, but yeah, 74-point turnaround in 1 weekend. The double headers for us this year have been fantastic. You know, to get 3 wins out of the 4 in the double headers, or out of 6 double headers, but. You know, that was big time for us, and hopefully, I don't know, man. I'm just hoping we have enough for tonight, that's all.
Well, you know the scenario. If you finish 6th or higher, the championship is yours. You don't have to worry about Elio. But you keep telling everyone, we're not driving for 6th, we're driving for the win. But any thought about the fact you happened to be 6th last night when it came down to practice times?
Not really. You know, I don't look into that too much. You know, it sounds kind of easy when you say all you have to do is finish 6th. That's pretty tough, you know, especially with the competition. And this track, you know, has been, you know, it's been a tough one this year. We probably haven't had quite the speed that we would have liked. I think over a consistent run, we're pretty decent. We'll have to see how it plays out. But, you know, there's lots of things on the line tonight. You know, there's the Drivers' Championship, there's the Manufacturers' Championship. You know, we want to do what we can to try and help Honda win that as well. But, you know, I'm sure, well, definitely more importantly, we're thinking about trying to go for the Drivers' Championship.
Let's talk just a little bit about emotion, because there's been huge emotional swings for you and the team, the loss of team members, and in your own family. Is this a chance for you, in fact, to kind of pull this season together and somewhat of a motivation and a payback?
Yeah, it would. You know, it has been a strange year, you know, even on track with the ups and downs that we've had with, you know, results. But, you know, more importantly, it's such a family sport, and everybody, you know, for me, I've been with Ganassi now for 12 years, so, you know, it was really hard to lose Floyd this year. Also, Andy Brown's wife, Chris, passed away, and then, you know, my wife's sister, Jessie, passed away recently too. So, you know, it has been a hard time, you know, but you got to look back at life, and in general, we're very lucky. I'm very lucky to do what I can do, and I love driving cars. I love driving cars for Team Target. You know, I love working for Chip, so, you know, if they can help us in any way, I'm sure they'll be trying, but, you know, we've got to dig deep here. We've got to you know, try and make the most of what tonight is and put us, you know, on the top spot.
Well, one thing we know about Scott Dixon, he will definitely be making the most of tonight. As he said, soon he'll be up on driver introductions, and the duel will be on. Kevin?
And Jan, one of the other storylines that we referenced with Ed Carpenter is the Fuzzies Triple Crown bonus.
$250,000 available for Tony Kanaan and Scott Dixon if they win the race tonight. It's been a good year for bonuses. You won over $2 million for winning the Indy 500, so how good is the car to get that done tonight?
I can't complain, Kevin, but the car's pretty good. We had a pretty good warm-up last night. I think we're fast. Obviously, there's a championship on the line. I think we should try not to interfere with that, and the best way to do that is to go win the race and let them sort it out behind us. So I'm confident it's going to be a difficult race, I think, like last year. So keep, we'll try to do our best and win the prize money for the guys.
What's the weekend been like, your final weekend with the team that helped you win the Indianapolis 500 before you moved to Ganassi?
It was a tough decision. Obviously, we built this team from scratch 3 years ago, and it's been a very emotional day for me. I have a lot of friends in the team, including my team owner, Jimmy Vassar, so it's been tough. But, it was a great opportunity that I couldn't skip, and the good thing about it is I think we both benefit from it. The team got a 2-year deal. They got Bourdais signed, which is a hell of a driver, and I got a deal with Ganassi. So they're going to be a pain for sure next year, and I wish them the best, but it's been a difficult day. I want to say hi to Dario, that I know he's watching us at home. We love you, teammate, and wish you could be here, but I'll come next week to give you a hard time.
All right, this is a different look for the start of this race. It's 3 wide like Indy, and they did at Pocono. You're on the outside of row 3. What are we going to see?
I'm exactly where I want to be. So it's a 3 wide start. Obviously, it's a 500-mile race. We're not going to try to do anything crazy, but if I could choose a place to be, I want the top, and that's where I'm at.
All right, go get him. That's Tony Kanaan, Lee.
Thanks, Kevin. And a reminder about what the Fuzzy's Triple Crown is. With thanks to Fuzzy's Vodka, there was $1 million on the line for the one driver who could win the Indianapolis 500, the Pocono 400, and this, the MAVTV 500. Nobody can do that, but as you'll see in yellow down there, there's a bonus $250,000 for either Tony Kanaan or Scott Dixon, because they can make 2 of the 3. So we've heard from Scott Dixon. It's time to hear from the man with the biggest smile in IndyCar racing. It's the dancing man, Elio Castroneves, when we come back.
The white flag is out. The crowd is on its feet here at Chicagoland Speedway. They're side by side. Dixon on the low side. Castroneves on the high side. Briscoe tucked right up behind him. Literally trying to shove Elio into victory lane for the final time. They're in turn number 4. Here they come to the line. It's going to be Dixon, is it? Oh my goodness. Elio is the winner of this race. And Dixon wraps up the 2008 championship in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, not the first time that Dixon and Castroneves have gone head-to-head to try and win this championship. It's down to 2. Welcome back to IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon. Less than half an hour until we see the green flag fly here at Auto Club Speedway. We've heard from Scott Dixon. We've heard how he feels, what he thinks about the race ahead. How about the other side of the equation? Elio Castroneves is with Marty.
Elio Castroneves about to be introduced to the crowd, and we'll talk to him real quick. You look so relaxed earlier. Are the nerves starting to creep in right now as we get closer to the green flag?
Well, I'm exciting. Well, by the way, they're calling me, but I'm exciting actually to go for it. Tonight is going to be a fun night. You guys going to have a great time watching this race. I'm going to have a great time driving this race, so it's going to be awesome.
All right, we'll meet you on the other side. Go be introduced to the fans. We'll meet you on the other side, and we'll talk to them in just a second, Lee.
Yeah, the crowd cheered, and there was nobody there. So, Elio Castroneves.
Race fans, how about a little noise? There he is! Elio Castroneves!
Take 2. It took 2 goes, but there he is. He's the man in the spotlight. He's the man who has led the majority of this 2013 IndyCar season. And for the first time, he's in a negative points position, trying to fight back. 53 points on offer. He's 25 down on Dixon. Let's go back to Marty.
You know what that's called? That's called dramatic effect. That's what that's called. Hey, you've won the Indy 500 3 times, 16 years in this series. You've never won this championship. At 38 years old, is there a sense of urgency you may need to make it happen tonight?
No, certainly I want to do it. I want to make it as a personal goal. We always trying to make it happen, and as soon as you're becoming a driver, you want to achieve your goals. But at this point, I think age is better. You know, you just like a wine, a fine wine. But I feel great. Today, it's going to be an awesome day. I'll do everything in my power. You've admittedly driven conservative this year. You told me yesterday, now we don't drive conservative, there's nothing to protect. But how do you drive differently being down 25 points? You take a little bit more risk, you know, when you feel there is an opportunity. obviously here is a place that you can choose different lines, and instead of staying in one place, you can try different ways. Anyway, it's gonna be a battle, but I'm gonna have a great time.
You qualified second, start 12th. What's the biggest concern starting back there?
I would say a little bit of the traffic, obviously, but we got to position ourselves and make good moves and go for it.
Elio Castroneves trying to win Penske their first IndyCar championship since 2006, Lee, and we got it all in, didn't we? A little bit of introductions, a little bit of everything.
It was good. It was good. That's what live TV and theater is all about. Let's show you some important facts about this guy, the very likable Brazilian. And it's Marty highlighted there. It's the one thing that kind of gnaws away after 16 years in the sport at this level is that he hasn't won the title. The 3-time Indy 500 champion. He's also renowned not only for his Spider-Man move, but for being the Dancing with the Stars champion. However, it hasn't all been smiles, because in 2008 he was charged with conspiracy and tax evasion, later acquitted on the tax evasion charges, and just 1 month later went on to win his 3rd Indianapolis 500 title. And you will be able to follow Elio and 1/3 of the Penske team right here tonight. And a quick reminder about our Verizon live streaming. To download the IndyCar 13 app, simply call ** Indy or search the App Store or Google Play, of course, only from Verizon. All right, you ready to have a little bit of fun? Here's Robin Miller.
Lee, I don't know where all the drivers are, but I know who. One man is right here. Roger Penske built this racetrack back in 1997. RP, you've won more races than anybody in IndyCar. You won more championships. How do you get Castroneves his first championship tonight?
Well, I think we got every reliability. As you know, last week we didn't get that, and it put us behind. And Dixon's, a great racer. He knows how to run strategically. So tonight it's finish, try to get up there in the front and see what we can do. We got some guys that maybe, hopefully, can keep Dixon behind us.
Okay, thanks, RP. He almost said something controversial, but I knew he wouldn't. I was going to ask him if that Chevy was going to make any mileage, because they didn't have any mileage at Pocono last year. Now we're going to try and find Alex Tagliani, because this is by far the best oval track ride he's ever had. Where are all the drivers? I think this is a conspiracy. They do this every year. Where are they? There's no drivers here. Okay, there's Jan Beekes. He used to be a driver. We don't want to talk to him. Who's back here? Scott Dixon. All right. You know what, Lee? Somebody's got to be back here. There's nobody back here. Kevin, you got anybody you can talk to, brother?
I do, Robin. I have Susie Rossick with Honda from their regional marketing department. She is a vice president, and we want to talk about the greatest experience, I think, in sports, and certainly in motorsports. Honda's fastest seat in sports. Every race, somebody gets to ride in the back seat with either Mario Andretti or Ari Luyendyk. What has this program done for Honda?
Oh, it's been great. This is our 4th year doing the fastest seats in sports, and we've had a wonderful time with Mario. We've had over 500,000 entries this year. What an awesome thing. I mean, to get to ride with Mario Andretti, the legend. And I just have to say, we are so excited to have the Andretti family back with Honda next year, starting next year. We'll have Mario, Michael, Marco, the whole family back, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, what is that like when you see someone get the thrill of a lifetime to get to start an IndyCar race?
The screaming is incredible, and he can attest to that. These people scream, and they're so excited, and they're, go Honda, and we're really thrilled to be able to offer this. It's wonderful.
All right, Mario, has anyone ever said, I've had enough, that's too fast, slow down?
Well, maybe afterwards, but beforehand they say, well, try to scare me or just go as fast as you can. No kidding. I go as fast as I can, believe me. So, but usually they come off the car, out of the cockpit with a smile, and that's the reward, really, that we get. As we said, it's the best program you could ever have, to have an experience as close as possible to what the real thing is without really doing your own driving.
All right, Mario will be leading the field again tonight here in just a few minutes. We're stationary for the grid run, but Robin is still here.
Marco, who's that old guy who hogged all our airtime?
Seriously, I thought he retired, man.
You know he hasn't. All right, kid, high side tonight. Is this going to be the fast way to win this race?
Most likely.
Most
yeah,
likely?
Yep, I think so.
It's your kind of racetrack.
I'd like to think so, but this is one of the few where I'm like, I could finish 25th or I could dominate. I honestly, I have no idea what we're going to be dealing with, but we're ready to fight for all 500 miles.
All right, good luck. Right. See you, kid. All right, now some of these drivers, I'd love to talk to Alex Tagliani. Where's Justin Wilson? There's Herdomania. Herdomania, where's your driver?
I don't know.
We don't know yet.
He's still getting introduced to the crowd.
Brian Herdo, have you made up a mind on a driver for next year yet?
Not yet, Robin.
I know your kid's only 12, he's too young, but he just won a championship.
Yeah, no, Colton's not ready yet, but, you know, we've had JR and Luke in the car recently. They've both done a great job. Perfect world, we'll get to 2 cars. We're still working on it.
All right, Brian Herta. There's Justin Wilson. I thought he was dodging me. Oh, man, I almost hit that guy head on. Justin Wilson. Sorry, Billy. What do you think? You're going to carry the Honda flag tonight, brother. You're the only guy who can really win for him.
Yeah, we're going to go for it. You know, we're starting back here in 18th, but we got a good car, so you know, we'll just be patient, try and stay out of trouble, and just pick them off one by one.
All right, we got about 20 minutes to the green flag. Don't go anywhere. You're going to watch the Colts tomorrow night, but tonight you're going to watch the IndyCar finale at Fontana.
Race fans, we ask that you rise and remove your hats as Jeff Hamilton, the official chaplain of Auto Club Speedway, offers this evening's invocation.
In support of Pinktober, Auto Club Speedway honors the memory of those lives lost to breast cancer and celebrates the courageous survivors, one of whom is my own 94-year-old grandmother, Grace Chambers. Will you bow your heads and pray with me this evening? Dear Heavenly Father, today we celebrate life, family, friends, faith, and love, all the things that make life worth living. We ask for a safe race today, protect the drivers and the teams, and as we enjoy this evening's event, may we remember your great love. In your name we pray, amen.
Please remain standing as Charlie Company Recruiting and Retention Battalion, California Army National Guard presents our nation's colors. And unfurling the large American flag out on the infield grass, your citizen soldiers for the California Army National Guard, representing units located throughout the Inland Empire. And now, race fans, from the hit NBC show The Voice, please join Jordis Unga for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Whoa, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
The IndyCar Championship again comes down to a gripping finish between just 2 drivers, Scott Dixon and Elio Castroneves. For Elio, his career is distinguished by winning the Indianapolis 500 3 times, and this season seemed to be on track to add an IndyCar title to it until Houston.
Castroneves has a problem.
He just said that was oil. Something's broke completely.
For Scott, the title of champion has been earned twice before, first in 2003 and then 5 years later in 2008. Knowing what it takes to win it has been key in overcoming 2 disastrous races and then returning to victory.
That's what we needed.
When the sun sets on this 2013 season, will Elio finally claim his first title, or will Dixon race to his 3rd?
buddy. I love you guys.
As the sun sets here in California, we welcome you to NBC SN's live coverage of the finale, the MAVTV 500 here at Auto Club Speedway. It is the 19th and final race of the 2013 IZOD IndyCar Series. And there is Roger Penske. The championship could be his at the end of tonight's 500-miler. Will it be his, or will it be his chief rival, Chip Ganassi? We're about to find out.
California race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in all of sports. Please welcome Vice President of Commercial Sales for Dish, Mr. Bob Groves, as he gives the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
It's that time where the talking stops and the racing begins. And the drivers are in the place they love to be the most, where nobody else can touch them, and it's their office. It's time to go, Marty.
Well, Lee, I talked to Elio Castroneves moments ago about his day. He said it was very busy with appearances and meeting with the fans, but he told me the team surprised him when they said you have 40 minutes to yourself right before you came to driver introductions. He said it was wonderful. I cleared my mind. I thought about what was at stake for tonight. He had some time with his parents, who are both at a race for the first time this year. I said, are you nervous? He said, there's a difference between nervous and excited. I'm not nervous. We have nothing to lose. I'm excited because we can win a championship, Jan.
And Marty, there's a reason why they call Scott Dixon the Iceman, and that's because he is cool under pressure. There is no greater pressure than when you're running for a championship. And you know what? Right now, he needs to stay cool because he starts in the middle of row 6. Job 1, stay out of trouble. Kevin?
Alex Tagliani is back in an IndyCar for the first time in 3 months. Not the circumstances he wants. He and everyone thinking of Dario Franchitti. But Tag says it's challenging not being in a car. It's the longest he's ever gone, but he's been quick. He's been quick here before, and he can help his teammate to a championship tonight, Robin.
Kevin, Carlos Munoz was Rookie of the Year in Indy. He finished second, almost won his first IndyCar car. Tonight he's driving EJ Viso's car because Viso called in sick. But everybody says he'll be Andretti's full-time 4th driver next year. He's got a chance to be a star in this series because he's so fast at such a young age. Boys?
Drama at the back there. You can see Simona Di Silvestro not getting off to a start. She's stationary. There is the IZOD 2-seater, and there's Simona getting help from the KB Racing Technology guys. So they'll help her. And speaking of the IZOD 2-seater, Indy 500 and motorsport legend Mario Andretti is behind the wheel. Sitting behind Mario this week is the winner of Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes. It is James Fortney from Schnecksville, Pennsylvania. James, how's the ride? James, can you hear us? Normally we have a much better success rate at reaching the winners. But anyway, congratulations to James Fortney, and I hope he enjoys that. You can be just like James by logging on to shophonda.com to get the opportunity to start a race in the IZOD IndyCar Series and sit in the IZOD 2-seater. Enjoy the ride. So, it's a wonderful moment, Wally and Townsend, when you see the cars fired as we show you the grid 3 abreast. It's Penske 1, 2, and then Dragon Racing. We're going to roll through the grid. Keep in mind and have a look at where your favorite drivers are. Cars fire up and they roll out. They're finally on track where you want to be. Townsend, you've raced for a championship. You've won a championship. What's that moment like?
You know, this is such purity for the drivers. Both Castroneves and Dixon have been inundated with questions about how does it feel? What are you thinking? They just want everybody to shut up and let them get behind the wheel now and do what they do best, which is go fast in an IndyCar. Looking back at row 4, Ryan Hunter-Reay, a guy clearly knows how to get to the front in these races. Watch out for him tonight.
Wally, is it just peace? Is it finally peace when you pull the visor down and roll out?
It really is. I mean, this is what you do it for, is right now. You get in a car, you get away from all the media, guys like us, and, you know, it's really, this is the time where you get in, you're focused, you're there to do the job, and you're right. Lee, it is. It is peaceful. You're about to go really, really fast for the next 500 miles, but this is what it's all about.
Some of you may be aware of this, some of you may not, but the race was slightly delayed. It was pushed back a little bit because of the severity of the sun right in the driver's eyes heading down the back straight into turn 3 at over 200 miles an hour. That's not much fun, and it could broach on being dangerous, particularly if there's an incident. So things were just pushed back slightly to make conditions safer and certainly more comfortable for the drivers. 250 laps, 500 miles around the Auto Club Speedway here in Fontana. Let's show you our onboard shots because they're spectacular at night. This is Graham Rahal with thanks to Battery Tender. We're going to have this view tonight for you. Wishing Graham all the best. He'd like to finish the season on a high. Our championship leader and contender going for 3 tonight, Scott Dixon, brings us this view with thanks to Verizon. We'll be going to that a lot, no doubt about that. In the National Guard car, this is Oriel Serbia, the National Guard on board. Wishing Oriel a fun ride tonight here in California, finishing the year on a high. Our championship contender, Elio Castroneves, with thanks to Verizon. And remember, to download the IndyCar 13 app, simply call ** Indy or search the App Store or Google Play. And Elio's going to give us this view throughout the night. James Jakes has been in good form this weekend in the Acorn Stairlifts car, and with thanks to that company, this is his onboard view. Was very good in qualifying and looking forward to it, team feeling confident. And how about the man who has the best finishing percentage in this championship? Yes, he's taken that over from Elio Castroneves. It's CK Charlie Kimball, and he brings us the Novolog FlexPen view. All right, 3 abreast. They're lining up, they're packing up. This is it. Race 19 of 19, championship decider, the MAVTV 500 for the IndyCar World Championship in California on a beautiful fall evening. We couldn't ask for it to be any better. We couldn't ask to have a better championship scenario, and we couldn't ask for more action. 25 cars to complete this 2013 championship. It's all on the line right now.
Single car high.
And they're jostling, they're sorting themselves out already, and it looked like Ed Carpenter got away to a very nice start. Up front though, the Penskes have been strong all weekend. Will Power is on a mission. What can AJ Allmendinger do? The Verizon car leads Sebastian Bourdais and Marco Andretti with a strong start.
Look at Sebastian Bourdais, very concerned in the drivers' meeting today about a 3-wide start, but he is not holding back. He went to the high side as Power went low, and Sebastian Bourdais flying, but Marco Andretti wants to lead, and he wants to lead now.
Unfinished business for the man who sat on pole position here last year in the Dr. Pepper machine. That company's just renewed its sponsorship with Andretti Autosport, and Marco Wally to second.
Yeah, and you can see the different lines. I mean, these guys are using the whole racetrack right now. It's going to be a pretty wild race, and you can see Bourdais taking the spot.
Bourdais came right back up inside. Marco got a big wiggle there in the middle of 1 and 2. He might have got over one of those seams. You can see that as the asphalt is laid here, you've got these tar seams. They divide up essentially 5 lanes on the racetrack. It is wicked. If you touch one of those seams in an IndyCar, you get a big wiggle.
Let's climb on board and keep in mind that the 2-lap average speed in qualifying was 220 miles an hour on this 2-mile oval. Let's ride with Elio for a moment.
222, and then it doesn't drop down a whole lot in the corner. Now you probably see this drop down more as the race goes on. Once these tires start wearing off, these cars start handling a little bit worse. You'll see that throttle, that green line right there. You'll see it going back and forth, and that's where these guys are working the gas pedal.
Marty?
Lee, when I finished my interview with Elio Castroneves, he turned back to me and said, I promise I'm going to be aggressive in the early laps. He wants to get to the front as quick as he can, and he wants bonus points. Remember, his teammate Will Power might be a little bit of a help here, might be able to give him the lead as well. So look at Kanaan moving up to the field as well,
Tony
guys.
Kanaan told us in the pre-race show that he feels good. He feels like he can pull off a good result to end his time with KV Racing Technology. Look at Ryan Hunter-Reay on the outside. And on the inside goes Elio Castroneves down on the white line.
That bunch up happened, I believe, because Bourdais continues to enter from the third lane and go all the way to the inside lane. You saw Marco Andretti have to check up. Tony Kanaan was not expecting Bourdais to run low there. Let's see what happens. Here comes Marco, once bitten, twice shy. Pagano on pit lane.
Jan?
They have a new set of tires out. Obviously, the only thing that you can think at this case would be some sort of puncture-related issue. We haven't had a word from the team.
And that hurts Simon Pagano, the man who's third in this championship. Look at Elio Castroneves down on the low side.
And Tony Kanaan going high.
He wants this championship. We've spoken too often, Wally, about how conservative he's been. Just steady, consistent, conservative. He is going after it tonight.
Well, the pressure is really off Castroneves. I mean, all year long he's had to defend that top spot. And now he knows he's got to do one thing, and that's try to win the race and let Dixon, you know, finish wherever he was. But he has got to finish the race. And it's amazing. We've seen a lot of dirt off this racetrack still. These guys have been here running all weekend, but you'll see the dirt and the dust fly up off these cars. Another thing I notice is they'll go in like the turn one here, Townsend, and you'll notice how they split. They don't want to be close together arrow-wise. They don't want to get in each other's dirty air. So you'll see one guy go to the bottom, and then the other guy goes right to the top of the racetrack.
And that fanning is going to get more and more pronounced as this race goes on and the tires wear out in each stint. You're going to see guys fan even further out to try to maintain grip in the corner. Jan, I think you've got an update for us on Pagano.
I do. Obviously, the team had to make a very quick decision.
Nice work up there.
The word from the team is that all of the tires were too high of a pressure. It wasn't a puncture or a tire going down. Somehow the pressures that they chose rose too much. It was so bad they had to change all four. Kevin?
A.J. Allmendinger dropped from second at the start down to 8th place, but that really shouldn't be a big surprise. He said, right now the car is just ahead of me. I'm still trying to get comfortable again. And there we see Allmendinger with James Jakes going down on the low side, trying to get comfortable back into an Indy car. You have so much time to get ready at Indy. Here you have basically one 90-minute practice.
The Dinger said this morning that just being in traffic, being behind someone like he is now, has been the biggest thing to get his head around.
Don't forget, he's gone from the Indy 500 back into NASCAR, which is a completely different animal, Wally, to all of a sudden show up here with 90 minutes of practice, as Kevin mentioned. It is baptism by fire. Very difficult to bounce back and forth between disciplines.
AJ rounds up James Jakes. So the order at the moment is Power, Bourdais, Castroneves, Kanaan, Andretti, Hunter-Reay, Hinchcliffe, Dinger, Jakes, Kimball, Ed Carpenter back in 12th. Scott Dixon is 13th. There's the Fuzzy Chevrolet rounding up Carlos Munoz. And if you didn't hear Robin mention it a little earlier, Munoz subbing for EJ Vizo in this season finale. There's your race leader, Bourdais. What a start from the Frenchman.
You know what I'm looking for, Lee, here is already we're starting to see the field stretch out. Most of the drivers telling me right about lap 15, man, you're hanging on for the remainder of the stint, which goes about 35 to 40 laps. We're only at lap 10, and I can tell a lot of these guys are really up in their seat hanging on.
And look how cool that National Guard Panther Racing entry looks with the reflective decals. That's only going to get better and more spectacular as the night goes on. We're driving lap 11 of this 250 lapper, this 500-mile MAVTV 500. You're watching NBC SN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by MAVTV, American Real. You're watching the MAVTV 500 live here on your home of open wheel racing, NBC SN. We welcome you back to Auto Club Speedway, Fontana, California, where we've got a new race leader. It's Dragon Racing pilot Sebastian Bourdais, after Will Power led the opening 11 laps of this race. And take a look at this. We have got a drawn championship at the moment. That just underscores how aggressive, Marty, that Elio Castroneves has been. He's hungry. He wants this.
An unbelievable run. 12th to second for Elio Castroneves. 17 laps in, and stalking Sebastian Bourdais for the lead as well, because he wants that championship lead. What he told me was, I don't know how my car is going to be in the long run. I know we have a fast car. You ride on board with Elio. He said, but I don't know how it's going to be on older tires, and I think that will be the key tonight. As long as we can be good at the end of the run, which it appears he's pretty good right now. Elio obviously with a very fast car, Jan.
And watch the lines as Sebastian Bourdais runs ahead.
Real good work there, real good.
He said that what he likes to run the car high. Oh, a nice draft for Castroneves. He goes high, but Bourdais likes that high line. He says the car is so much more stable. When I stay up high, I don't have to worry about the balance. His main concern, like a lot of drivers, is when you get on top of those seams.
not only that, Jan, but if the cars are a little bit loose and you turn that car down into the banking down, you know, towards the bottom of the racetrack, the cars tend to get sideways and loose.
Looking again.
Wally, look at this kid, Carlos Munoz. This
he has
guy
no
found
problem
out
turning it down low.
He's got no problem turning it anywhere. Unbelievable at Indianapolis this year. Finished second as a rookie, competitive all day, and he has given two veterans a run for their money here. And he won the Indy Lights race here today.
Unfortunately, the championship went away from him a couple of races ago, but he absolutely dazzled everybody at the Indianapolis 500 this year in May. And perhaps this is the one that he felt that the Indy 500 got away from him this year. He felt as though he really could have and should have won it. Maybe tonight's his night.
So many people said that Munoz, you know, at Indianapolis in practice, I remember, boy, this guy's crazy. He's a squirrel. He's going to cause a huge crash. Didn't make a single mistake all month.
Inside again. Look at the three of them going at it. Carlos Munoz, Marco Andretti in the middle, and AJ Allmendinger has made up two positions. And in the background, last year's winner, here comes Ed Carpenter in the fuzzy Chevrolet.
Yeah, well, these guys were running side by side and three abreast there. Carpenter has got a really, really good toe.
You know, over the last few years, this race has really gone from a pack race, Wally, to more of like a cup race where you're using all the road, high, low. You need all the radius, especially as the tires wear out. It's really become a very interesting driver's battle.
I said, very different than it was last year. Like I said, these guys were just on the mat for most of the race. They would lift a little bit, but I think they're working the throttle a lot more. We saw this a little bit earlier between Carpenter and Charlie Kimball. A little bit of contact there. Boy, Carpenter's lucky he didn't get a cut tire, and Kimball's lucky he didn't lose a part of a wing there.
That's one of the hardest things. The spotters are sitting on top of the roof where we sit right now. Very difficult for a spotter to see the back straightaway at night and know where you are laterally to another car.
Ryan Hunter-Reay on the inside of Elio Castroneves in the DHL Chevy, and Ryan Hunter-Reay and Elio share the biggest jump and the biggest advantage, the biggest gain in this race, making up 9 positions. Elio takes that back and makes it up 10 after getting that back. That's a good arm wrestle.
Fantastic battle lead for second place here. Ryan Hunter-Reay looks like he will get it from Elio Castroneves, who just radioed to Roger Penske, the car getting too loose now. When he got behind Bourdais, he lost the handle on the race car. That's what he was worried about, how good the car would be in the long run. But listen to all the experience that Elio Castroneves has talking to him. His spotter tonight, Rick Mears, 4-time Indy 500 winner, and on the box making the calls and race strategy as Elio gets second place back is Roger Penske. So a lot of experience on this team tonight trying to get Elio a championship.
Yeah, Castroneves' car is working pretty good. And you know, it's hard to make that pass like Hunter-Reay trying to make down on the bottom because you lose so much momentum when you run the low side. Yet Castroneves is you know, he's running that high line, and you're a little bit better getting off the corner when you're on the high line.
I believe we're hearing Roger Penske come on the radio and just try to calm his driver, Castroneves, and remind him, long way to go. Pace yourself, make the adjustments in the car.
Clear by 5.
I got to tell you, boys, if it were me in that seat, there's nobody I'd want on the radio more than Rick Mears.
Rick Mears spotting for Elio. And it's a real family affair at Penske Racing. And to help and to calm and to guide, and just a good moral boost for Elio is his good friend Gilles de Ferran, who worked with us on Indy Pole Day. He won a championship and a 500 for the captain. Good to see Gilles here, the man who holds the fastest closed course speed record at 241 miles an hour. He said here at Auto Club Speedway. Gilles is here urging his good friend on to claim his first championship. Green all the way with only one hiccup for Simon Pagenaud, the man third in the championship with tire pressure issues. But other than that, good, clean, clear, fast running for the championship finale. We're back at the MAVTV 500 to decide the championship, to crown a champion. The the moment, Sebastian Bourdais continues to lead. Hey, we told you a little bit earlier about tomorrow night's football night in America, huge with the Broncos, Colts, Peyton Manning going back to Indy. But before that, we've got a great day for you. Barclays English Premier League, Aston Villa trying to complete a 3-match Premier League unbeaten streak as they host Tottenham. We've got some women's soccer. It's a friendly between the US and Australia, and some figure skating as well. So a busy day on NBCSN and NBC, culminating in football night in America. There he is, the captain, Roger Penske. You'll hear his voice a lot tonight, guiding, coaching, and partnering Elio Castroneves through it. And you'll hear this voice. This is Mike Hull, Chip Ganassi's right-hand man and longtime confidant of Scott Dixon's. He told me once when he was guiding them in the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and this is for the lead, Ryan Hunter-Reay rounds up Sebastian Bourdais. Last year's champion, the outgoing champion.
And look at Bourdais almost in the fence. Bourdais got a big wash lead as Hunter-Reay went around the outside. Bourdais washed right up behind his rear wing, lost all the front grip, almost got in the fence. Jay Penske trying to coach Bourdais back to speed. That was close.
Wow, as quick as that. And Elio Castroneves benefits. He jumps up into second place. Take a look at this. You're looking at the second car in shot.
As soon as Hunter-Reay went by, Bourdais washed up, and look at him. It's a game of inches, guys. Just off the fence.
Yeah, he just had to roll way out of the throttle because he was up in the gray area in the dirt up there.
Look at that thing take off.
Woo! Wally, what are you telling yourself when that happens?
Well, I mean, you just have to throttle back out of it and hold the car still, and hopefully you're going to get grip and not get in the wall. But he rolled out of the throttle enough to where it put grip back in the car to where he stayed out of the fence.
Tony Kanaan and Will Power side by side. This is the fight for fourth place in this race. Give you an updated order. It's Hunter-Reay, Castroneves, Bourdais, Power. Kanaan is fifth. Armendinger is behind James Hinchcliffe. Munoz is eighth. Marco Andretti is ninth, and Ed Carpenter in the top 10. Our championship leader, Scott Dixon, is 13th at the moment.
One back.
And Diff, as you mentioned, Ryan Hunter-Reay has now taken the lead. The car a little bit tight for Ryan Hunter-Reay, and we're closing in on pit stops. I believe Elio Castroneves is a couple laps away from pitting. But this is what Ryan Hunter-Reay and his team worked on yesterday, making their car good on old tires. They ran 48 laps in the final practice just for this purpose, trying to be good at the end of a run.
What happened, turn and wing?
And approaching.
I think so.
Approaching this first run of stops, the teams, the engineering staff and the drivers will be communicating about what they want changed on their cars.
And I can tell you they're going to be saying, just change tires. Really tricky here to get this thing slowed down for the pit speed line. That's the line right there.
60 miles an hour, the speed limit on pit road. Let's go to Marty.
As we ride down pit road with Elio Castroneves, you heard Roger Penske tell him, make sure you do not speed on pit road. Now the cars can go about 42 miles on fuel. However, the tires don't last that long. Elio wanted some new tires on this thing. The car also a little too loose for Elio's liking. They'll adjust it with air pressure. Also, Ryan Hunter-Reay coming down pit road. Roger Penske sends him. Ryan Hunter-Reay will win that race off pit road around Elio Castroneves.
Andretti Autosport versus Team Penske. Big announcement today, if you weren't with us for IndyCar Live presented by Verizon, that Andretti Autosport changing to Honda power next year. Let's go back to another Penske car. Kevin?
Solid first in for A.J. Allmendinger. It's an easy in for him. This is an advantageous position, and that's a really quick stop for A.J. Allmendinger in the 2 IZOD car.
And you're watching Marco Andretti here on pit road. His car was a little bit too tight. They had problems there with the left front, still having problems trying to get that lug on for Marco Andretti. They'll lose a lot of time here on pit road, Lee, as you see Scott Dixon also laid out on pit road, coming down pit road in a moment.
Takuma Sato in the ABC supply machine.
Couple on the right rear.
One outside, now clear.
Taku had a huge crash yesterday that severely damaged the AJ Foyt racing car. He did not participate in qualifying, hence him starting at the back of the field today.
Nice clean stop for Hinch. Flawless execution there by the GoDaddy crew. Here comes Will Power down pit lane.
All the way past the pole.
Tim Cindric on the radio.
Group you see now, for the first group you see. Nice and easy here, nice and easy, nice and easy.
And for Will Power, you listen to Tim Cindric as he talks him in and out, and no problems. Wow, that was quick on the tires. That is what you need. And wow, look at the target crew get out of the way, because here momentarily will be Scott Dixon. They have said there's no problem with the balance of the car. They just feel, and that's, sorry, Alex Tagliani, pardon me.
Okay, we got a wing adjustment here.
Being talked through, they go for some front wing for Alex Tagliani.
That was close. Wilson almost getting into Tagliani there on pit lane.
Here's our championship leader, Dixon, on pit road.
And here comes, of course,
Keep
Scott
your eyes
Dixon.
on the left here. Wilson's in his box. There he comes. You're good. You're good. Right in here on the board.
Mike Hull talking him in, and as I had mentioned, they have been
Right on the
happy with the
here.
handling of this car, just not quite the speed that they had hoped for. Scott Dixon need to be sure that they are flawless on their pit stops, which they are.
On your right. You're good, 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 good. Go to the...
Oh, tied off pit road there with James Jakes, and Jakes wasn't about to let Dixon have it. So let's see where he cycles back in. Let's see how it is at the front of the pack. Ryan Hunter-Reay is the race leader. And here it is, Elio Castroneves taking the fight to him.
Yeah, Castroneves' car so far has been really, really strong from the get-go.
Whoa,
something's up here.
He's pitting again.
All of a sudden off the power, Castroneves there just got right out of it. Don't know if he has an issue.
See if he's going to duck down in the pit lane here, but it sounds like he is.
Looks to me like he's got an evil imbalance or something. He is really
he's out there,
just trying to get himself up to speed. Looks like he's running in fourth gear. There he grabs fifth.
Clear by 20.
What happened there to Elio Castroneves?
I can only think, guys, that he had a huge moment there and just decided to throttle way back and make sure he was confident in what he's dealing with before getting up to speed. You got to remember, these things are on a knife edge.
Yeah.
Just watching the guys leave the apron out of the pits, James Jakes on board, you are nursing the throttle because it is a tightrope walk all the way around.
Marco Andretti here in the Dr. Pepper Andretti Autosport Chevrolet. He is ninth at the moment.
Job. Tip is a lap down.
Riding again with Castroneves. And Elio's still in second as Simon Pagenaud pits for the second time in this race.
Now Castroneves is up to speed now. That last lap at 2:13, so he's well into it. We're looking at Pagenaud on pit lane.
And that, of course, is his second stop. And we mentioned that his tire pressures were too high, which is why he had to stop early. Turns out it comes down to a faulty gauge. Man, that's got to be just not what you're expecting to start a race. A faulty gauge adds another pit stop to your roster.
Right now, all clear, all clear.
Riding on board the Midas machine with Graham Rahal, and we're getting word that there was contact between Graham and another car. Check it out. Here's the replay. It's Oriol Servia in the National Guard car. Watch to your right. Whoa. Oh.
Yeah, just nailed the pod there. But I'll tell you what, just looking at that last shot of Rahal, his car does not look like it's handling. He rolled way out of the throttle into the corner, which means he probably probably the car is very, very loose.
I talked to Graham before the race, and he was giving me an earful about weight distribution, saying, man, I've got to carry 40 pounds overweight just to ballast the car for the weight distribution we need to get a balance on this thing. He was very frustrated at his own personal size, basically, being a big jockey in this series.
Sebastian Bourdais in the middle there. That's a good move. He's running 7th at the moment, trying to round up Simona Di Silvestre, not for position. But how about the youngster on the inside, the young Colombian, Carlos Munoz? He's been dazzling tonight.
3 wide in the middle.
3 wide.
3 wide in the middle.
Hey,
Munoz on the inside.
His car is working very good on the bottom. So far, his car looks the best on the bottom out of all these guys. He's been able to puts it right down on the line, and it's gripping.
Now, he just made a pit stop, so he's on fresh rubber. I don't think, Wally, he's going to be able to do that in 10 laps from now, but we're 10 laps into this stint. That's very impressive.
How good would it be to have this young man full-time in the IZOD IndyCar Series next year? That's the hot tip. That's the hot rumor that we'll see him driving for Andretti Autosport in the big time. He's shown us a couple of times he can certainly handle it. As quickly as that, 100 miles have already gone by of this 500-mile season-ending race. This was a racetrack in a time where this man celebrated the greatest accomplishment of his racing career. Ryan Hunter-Reay was crowned IndyCar champion here a year ago for the very first time. It's not going to be the case this year. Just too much misfortune for Ryan. Sometimes wrong place, wrong time, mechanical issues, really bizarre issues like the fuel cap getting stuck open and the car catching fire in one of the recent rounds. Just bizarre stuff. He's had to carry a lot this year, but he'll bounce back next year. Be a nice way to finish the year with a victory here in California. And Ryan has led for the second most highest amount of laps in this race. He's led 15 laps around Auto Club Speedway.
You know, Lee, before we went to break, we talked about Castroneves maybe having a little issue with handling on his car. Look at this right here. Look at his rear gurney. If you see these little stepped sections right here where they've cut out that rear gurney or run a two-piece rear gurney, now we can look at Dixon's rear wing, running a little bit further back, and Dixon's got a straight bar basically all the way across in terms of the gurney, a straight flap. I think Dixon's got a little more downforce, Castroneves a little more trimmed out. It could be that what happened is he's just getting loose. Don't forget, last year, his teammate, Will Power, way too loose.
Everything at 220 plus miles an hour, Wally, is exaggerated and exacerbated. How big a deal is that on that analysis?
Well, it is, and I think you make a choice on what you want to do. Do you want to trim it out because you think if you can run up front, you'd like to trim it out, but you don't want to be around any other cars. And then you know, because if you're around the other cars, it takes your away to make the car a lot looser. Or you run that little bit of more wicker, like T-Bell was talking about, which gives you a little bit more downforce, but it hurts you on top speed on the straightaway.
And don't forget, Castroneves and the Penske team said coming into this thing, we just need to get back to winning and being aggressive. Exactly. And I think what we're seeing there on downforce selection is just that mentality.
There was a test for all of the field here at Auto Club Speedway several weeks ago, where, interestingly enough, Elio Castroneves was the fastest at the conclusion of that test. We've got a great race going on. Positions have been changing pretty feverishly, except at the front where Ryan Hunter-Reay enjoys almost a 2-second lead. Castroneves is second. This is Takuma Sato on the left. He is not on the lead lap. AJ Allmendinger, however, is. Allmendinger's running in a very impressive 6th place. Never raced here in an IndyCar before. He's doing a really nice job.
You know, just watching Allmendinger, no question, doing a great job. Watching Takuma Sato, here's a guy that looks like he's just driving to finish this race. He had a huge crash on Friday. We can take another look at it. And it's been a rough go since leading the championship after Long Beach victory earlier this year. Look at this. Loses the back end and just destroys that ABC car.
On a season, in a season, where we've celebrated Takuma Sato's spirit and aggressiveness and his win at Long Beach, I'm hearing conflicting reports. I'm hearing, yes, we've got a deal done and everything's looking pretty good. I'm also hearing the other side where the Foyts have basically had enough of the crashes and the disappointment. 8 of the last 9 races, he's DNF'd. He's failed to bring it home.
You're going off what you're hearing. What I'm seeing, Lee, is a young Connor Daly that's on that, hanging around that pits like Velcro, waiting for an opportunity in the big show.
It's up on board here with Graham Rahal. And keep an eye on the throttle. That's the whole key around this place in an IndyCar. Now, before the pit stop, it sounded like he was really rolling out of it. He's rolling out of it, but it looks like it was a lot better than it was pre-pit stop.
2 back.
There's another story we need to dig into here, Wally and Townsend, and that is this is a Chevrolet-dominated race. The top 9 cars are all Chevy-powered.
And don't forget that Honda goes to a twin-turbo configuration for next season. They've already tested that new motor with Simon Pagenaud here at Fontana a few weeks ago. A lot of smiles in the Honda camp. They feel like they've got something for Chevrolet next year.
Who is the highest-placed Honda driver? It's J.R. Hildebrand.
Munoz does.
JR's running a 10.
Well, it's still been a challenging weekend again for Graham Rahal. They came here for the test, but got virtually nothing done because of mechanical issues, and it hasn't gotten much better so far this weekend. They have been really struggling with the balance of the car. Both ends, he said, are doing different things. It won't turn at one end, and the other it's snapping in, so he's been struggling all weekend, just trying to hang on right now.
Well, he was one of those guys that we talked to earlier today that said hinge. And it was exactly that. He just couldn't, he never felt confident in the corner on what it would do. and that's exactly what was Kevin was talking about. So he still has his hands full, but I think throttle-wise he's a little bit better, but he's still rolling out of it about half throttle, especially going down into 1 and 2.
Been a very positive night for Tony Kanaan, this year's Indy 500 winner in his final, in his farewell drive for KV Racing Technologies. He's fighting it out with Hinchcliffe here. These guys are in the 4th and 5th position. They've just swapped. It'd be a nice way for TK to go out.
No question, especially with an extra $250,000 on the line from Fuzzies.
Oh, that was pretty tight.
In order to get the green, he's going to need some help from that green car because that was close.
How does it look up front? Hunter Ray still has a 2-second lead over Elio Castroneves. And with Elio there and Dixon down the order in 12th, Dixon would still be champion. If it ever went at the end of this 500 miles, if we get into a tiebreaker situation,
ooh, man, that was
Dixon
close.
wins all the tiebreakers as Hinch and TK go at it. And here comes the dinger, AJ Allmendinger on the inside.
Now watch Kanaan on the high side. Usually, like I said, the high side you get a little bit more run off the top. Really difficult to make that pass that Hinchcliffe is trying to make.
I'm so impressed with Allmendinger. I mean, here's a guy that has been out of the sport for so long doing NASCAR, and to come back and be as competitive as he was at Indianapolis, and look at him just driving. He's got no experience at this kind of track in this traffic, and he picks it up so fast.
Watch this, inside for Allmendinger. Is he feeling more comfortable down there?
Outside.
Watch Munoz
up. You're clear. Nope, outside.
Yeah, I was going to say, not quite, but...
I mean, right now, Wally, Munoz has got a car to beat. Nobody else can run low like that this far into the tire run.
And that's the thing, you know, we talked about a little bit in the qualifying show. If you can get your car to work where nobody else is going to work when the tires go off, you're going to pass a lot of cars. And right now, Munoz, he's got that car working on the bottom. It's just tough getting off the corner.
One of the benefits of being young and fresh is you don't really know how bad things can get. and I haven't seen Munoz wash into the turbulence like we saw Bourdais earlier. I hope it doesn't happen to him, but I'll tell you, it's coming here. He keeps driving like that.
He got a spot there.
And he does it so clinically. Again, Hinchcliffe and Kanaan run wheel to wheel.
Well, watch how far he drops down to the bottom of the racetrack. And he really makes up a lot of space, but he'll lose it right around here is where he just doesn't get off the corners. Well, Buddy picks up another spot.
What he's got to be careful of is if all of a sudden Hinch decides to go low, he's going to find himself in a world of turbulent air. But luckily, Hinch is struggling up there. He's got to run high just to get around the corners.
And that was one of the things that AJ Allmendinger commented on earlier today. He said the biggest thing that I'm struggling with and battling with is that if I make up my mind where I'm going into a turn and the car in front of me takes the same move and takes the same line, he said, I'm in a world of pain and I've got to suddenly decide where I'm going to go, and it's a handful.
And one of the things you see these guys respecting are those seams that we've talked about. And it's not so much the elevation of the seam, it's the tar that's been used to fill them in. It's a smooth transition, but the grip can drop off really fast if you run a right side tire on one of those seams.
But I think one thing counts in these cars are probably to their benefit. These cars are sliding along the surface more than they have been in the past, and they're probably getting away with it a little bit more than last year. Last year they had a lot of grip, and those seams were a little bit more of a problem, but I think they're sliding around so much, they're just crossing them.
Ryan Hunter-Reay continues to lead the MAVTV 500. And we got some good battles going on right the way through the field. As you know, NBCSN is your home of open wheel racing, and continuing that, we look to the Formula One World Championship. It continues next weekend with the Airtel Indian Grand Prix. And don't forget, this November, Formula One returns to the United States for the US Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. Can't wait for that. There's only 4 to go. India, Abu Dhabi, back-to-back. Then there's a week off. And then Austin, and we wrap it up with Brazil. More than likely, unless something drastic happens, Sebastian Vettel is about to wrap up his 4th consecutive Formula One Drivers' World Championship at the age of 26. We're under yellow, and look at what has happened.
Pippa Mann and Saavedra, 2 cars running towards the back of this field.
Okay?
Pippa Mann's second crash so far. She crashed on Friday.
Trying to avoid Saavedra, I couldn't get down. I collected the wall on the brakes.
Sounded like she was trying to get in the pits,
all right,
perhaps,
well, I'm
but
glad you're all right.
we'll have to see what happens.
Good job.
Sorry, such a horrible end to this weekend. I'm so sorry, guys. I just couldn't get down there.
It has been a tough weekend for Pippa Mann. She spun, she had a full 360 at speed, mid-turn, then clouded the wall.
Very similar crash to Sato's crash
Yeah.
on Friday, but hopefully we'll get another look at this one.
Driving lap 71, first caution in this race for Pippa Mann and Sebastian Saavedra of Dragon Racing. Got a replay for you, and it's kind of late in the going. Gotta look carefully here.
Well, I think she was avoiding Saavedra, or she was
yeah.
trying to. She didn't really have a whole lot of places to go. Saavedra's had a rough weekend
And
here.
look
He's
at
not
the-
really been.
Look at the
up to
right
speed.
rear on Saavedra's car was missing some or all of that tire.
Yeah.
So not sure what happened there, but it certainly looked like he had some kind of issue riding on the rim there as he was spinning.
Word from race control, pits are open. You got to imagine under this, the pack are going to come. Been a very good, smooth run for Ryan Hunter-Reay, who has led the most laps of this race. He's led almost half of this race so far. Some stay, some most go.
And something to keep in mind, these cars do not drive on pit lane like they do on road course configuration. They're a handful down there.
Take a look at this. Championship contenders in the bottom two, race leader at the top.
Ryan Hunter-Reay, top of your screen, as you mentioned, Lee, leading much of that run, but he said the car was a little bit looser at the end of that run. He'll hit his stall first. He wants a wing adjustment and 4 tires, John.
Castroneves comes to a stop first, but right behind is Scott Dixon. They're expected to give Scott Dixon one turn of front wing. He wants more grip at the front. Castroneves has already done in 8 seconds. 8 seconds also for Hunter-Reay. Now Scott Dixon tries to slot in and not lose any more positions.
Good work from the Penske team for Armendinger. He got serviced well and is nicely in the mix. Scott Dixon, have a look at that. For making up positions, he's been running the race in 12th position for the majority of it and makes up 6 positions. So good work from the Andretti Autosport team on the side of the DHL side of the garage for Ryan Hunter-Reay. Very swift service there, and so too for Penske. Elio Castroneves taking the fight to Scott Dixon, but Dixon makes a massive leap in that second stop of the race. We're under yellow for the first time in the MAVTV 500. We'll get things cleaned up, cleared up, and go racing under the lights here in California.
Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway. What a fantastic shot that is, the MAVTV 500. Scott Dixon with a phenomenal pit stop. My call, you picked up 6 spots on that particular. Did you get all the fuel?
I think we just did everything right. Plus we had an open pit because Pagano was off sequence. That really did help us. And be it down at the end of this pitch, the end of the pit lane helps us getting out. And it looked like by watching downstream, some guys kind of like did a bunch of monkey motion down there trying to get out of their boxes together. And we got a full moon.
Yeah, we just saw an excellent shot of that. Now tell me, do you feel confident? It looked like at first you didn't necessarily have the speed. Now you're gaining momentum.
Well, I think we were better in the second segment than we were in the first segment, to answer your question. I think the big difference here is chasing the racetrack with when you're off throttle, not when you're on throttle. On throttle, anybody can do that, but when you're going from off throttle to on throttle, it's how the car reacts and how your car is tuned. I think Scott's lap times throughout the run were a lot better. So.
All right, hang with it. It's looking great right now for Scott Dixon. Marty?
Beyond, let's talk to the captain, Roger Penske, and how do you feel like your guy is managing the race, Roger?
Well, I think, we got 175 laps to go. There's a lot of racing to do. I think we got to run smart. All 3 cars show some speed. Obviously, Dixon had a couple of good pit stops there. It's now in 6. So, overall, so far so good, but it's a long way to go tonight. I feel good about Elio. Had a great start, running smart, and we'll see.
Keep telling him to be calm, but will you unleash him a little bit now that he's close to Ryan Hunter-Reay?
Well, I think when we're running wheel to wheel like that with almost 200 laps to go, we need to be cool here, and I think the most important thing is be here at the end, because that's when it's going to count.
Strategy playing out so far. Elio Castroneves with a better car, but Scott Dixon still in the championship lead. Back for green flag racing as Elio Castroneves, we ride along with him. Can he win the title? We'll find out coming up shortly.
About an hour east of Los Angeles is where we are. In Fontana, California at Auto Club Speedway as our live coverage of the championship decider continues for the 2013 IZOD IndyCar Series. That's what I felt like following Townsend Bell from Pacific Palisades out to the track the other day.
You know, I've been hearing a lot of complaining about lack of signaling.
Yeah, you don't use
speeding.
Your blinker.
It's LA. There's no rules here.
That was quite the drive.
Now I'm thinking on this restart, guys, if Castroneves is really trimmed out, he's going to want to get in front as fast as he can.
Yeah, he's going to want clean air.
Yeah.
There's Emma Davies Dixon. That's Scott Dixon's wife. The kids aren't with them this weekend, but Emma is here and she's helping, guiding her man to a third championship, perhaps. It's still to play for, but boy, he leapfrogged some good positions, 6 to be exact in that last round of stops. Coming to the green this time, we're driving lap 80 of 250. Safety car is in. Whoa, James Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, Power didn't get a very good start there.
Just pounced, and Armendinger's going with Hinchcliffe as well. Armendinger, look at the run that third car has got. Dinger is flying.
Tagliani 5 wide on the high side, trying to get through to help out Dixon up front.
Will Power is still struggling.
This is wild.
All right, you're good now. Let's make it back.
Look at this at the front. Elio Castroneves goes to the lead. Marco Andretti's in the picture, down on the white line.
These guys are on fresh tires, lots of mechanical grip. They know they have to take advantage of it while they've got it. 3 wide back there.
Clear by 3.
Newgarden.
4 wide in the back there.
You know what blows me away, guys? We've run 82 laps. We've been here for 2 days. The amount of dust that still kicks up on that track.
I know it.
And I've heard a lot of the team owners talk about what gets into the radiators as you get deep into this race. There's so much debris here. Some of the teams are fighting temperature issues on long runs.
Well, Marco's got a good run on Castroneves right here.
The Dr. Pepper machine for Andretti Autosport rounds up Castroneves, or does he? Yes, he does. Marco Andretti to the front now.
And guys, all race long, Roger Penske's been telling Elio Castroneves as he battles back trying to get the lead, calm down, do not force things. Right before the green flag, though, he said, you know what you need to do on this restart. I think he unleashed him. They got the 1 bonus point they wanted, leading a lap. Now they want to get a few more, guys.
The thing is, I think you've got a good car like Castroneves has. I mean, he's not taking chances. I mean, he just feels good about what he's driving right now. But like I said, I really think he'd like to be out front. He does not want to be in traffic.
And how about Alex Tagliani? He is up 16 positions and is the lead Ganassi car. Robin.
Well, you don't want to forget what Marco Andretti did, fellas, at Pocono. He was long gone. He was running the fastest laps by 5 miles an hour, and people were going, he's better slow down, he's going to run out of fuel. So what happens is he dominates the race, they back him off at the end, and he ends up not even finishing in the top 10 because he had to slow down so much. So I think his strategy's changed a little bit, but he was the guy to beat at Pocono.
And the race came to the Ganassi squad for the first time in the team's history. They got a 1, 2, 3.
Tagliani was way up. Kind of got drove up there.
And Dixon's right behind Tagliani saying, brother, I need your help, but don't wreck in front of me.
Yeah. Munoz is right alongside Dixon.
On the low side, imagine that.
Hinch has got drama. What's going on with Hinchcliffe?
Well, we saw how aggressive he was, Lee, on that restart. He may have been a little too aggressive.
I'm rolling here, I got nothing.
And you hear Hinch on the radio, he said, the car is dying, something's wrong with the car, I've got nothing on the throttle. They also had a broken wing on that restart, so very aggressive on that restart for Hinch, but it would appear as though his night might be done.
Look, Tony Kanaan here, showing some strength as well, trying to work the high side on Elio.
New front wing going on to Hinchcliffe there. I don't see the guys really addressing any other issues on the car, but he appeared to be out of power on pit lane.
Look at these two going at it, the Brazilians at the front. Good friends for a long, long time. Tony Kanaan on the high side, Castroneves on the low side. Do we see the KV machine go to the front? Kanaan's had a really good run tonight.
Oh, Kanaan keeping them down low.
popping out of the draft. At the back of that was Allmendinger around Bourdais.
And Hunter Ray shoots right up to the top of the track, working a big toe off Kanaan.
Quick update on Hinchcliffe. He's got fired up and he's going again. Tagliani looked to the outside of Allmendinger. Look further back there as Kanaan goes to the low side now.
Wow, look at Castroneves just shoot straight to the top of the track, almost turned right there in front of Hunter Ray.
If you weren't with us a little earlier and we were telling you about Alex Tagliani, you're saying, well, which car's he in? He's in the Target Chip Ganassi car, replacing the injured Dario Franchitti. And he has been enjoying his time at Team Ganassi. He turned 40 yesterday, incidentally, Tagliani, and he had a smile from ear to ear. He said, this is the best birthday present I could wish for.
No question. Don't forget that not only has Tagliani been brought in to help Dixon, but it's Tagliani's best ever opportunity in the last several years in terms of championship caliber team. He does not have a job for next year. This guy has raced cars his entire life. That's all he knows how to do. He's driving for his future. Look at Bourdais.
Nice run on Kanaan right there. Castroneves going to take a look on the high side.
Still there. Elio goes around Tony Kanaan. Look at that blue and white machine.
And look
Tony
at
had
Munoz.
to jump out of the throttle just a little bit there. Lost a lot of momentum.
Here comes low-line Munoz just working his way up through the field.
What started out as a pretty slow weekend for Sebastian Bourdais, he rocketed up the order in qualifying to put that machine, the McAfee machine, the chrome and red car for Dragon Racing, into a very strong position. Munoz is up to third. Kanaan doesn't want to stay back there. Tagliani's in the mix. Hunter Ray, Marco Andretti, and AJ Allmendinger.
Those first two cars leaving plenty of air for Munoz down low, and he just continues to blow me away with the amount of grip that car generates and his ability to fearlessly charge up the inside.
While all this has been going on, championship leader Scott Dixon has dropped to 11th place. Best Honda in the field is Alex Tagliani, his teammate, and his other teammate, Charlie Kimball, is also up there in 9th. It's a Chevy-dominated race.
I mean, Munoz is almost on the apron. I mean, normally you only see that in the Cup race here. In an IndyCar, you never want to come close to that line, and he's all over it. It's working well for him, and he's making a move on Kanaan.
Again, the reason why the young Colombian is in that Sitco entry, EJ Vizo called in 6th.
Oh, boy, here it comes. He's starting to slide around, Lee. I can see that.
I don't know if that was a slide there, Townsend. I think he drove it up there.
I saw that puppy start to wiggle a little bit.
You know, I'll tell you what, if it's loose, he doesn't care because he went right back down to the bottom.
We're going to show you a replay of the restart from how it looked for Scott Dixon. That's Will Power in front of him. So he loses 2 spots there. He loses 3 spots because there goes Kanaan up on the high side. He's just trying to get by Power, and he can't. There goes his teammate Tagliani on the high side. And look at them. They just swamped Will Power.
Yeah, Dixon and Dixon had nowhere to go. He wanted to go low here, had to jump the throttle.
Oh, well, that was Munoz tagging the rear left of Scott Dixon. That was a lucky escape. Obviously, the worst would be a spin, but he could have got a cut tire, so that was a lucky escape, a close call for the championship leader.
Well, guys, what a battle up front. And for Elio Castroneves, remember we talked about all the experience he's hearing on the radio from Rick Mears and Roger Penske. They're all telling him, be calm, don't be aggressive. I think he may have turned his radio off, Jan. He's not listening to those guys at all. Very aggressive for Elio Castroneves as Munoz tries to get second from him, Jan.
Yes, and talking about turning the radio off, Carlos Munoz was told during the caution, we need to conserve the tires. Well, you don't conserve the tires when you're running the low line, but man, he just keeps on it. It stays low, the car sticks, but unfortunately, like Townsend, you were saying, you get to the end of the stint, and those tires are going to be more worn than those on the high side.
I tell you what, I think this kid's going to wind up leading this race pretty quick because you know what? Even on the long run, his car was still better than a lot of these guys on the low side. So, tell you what, he is going.
Yeah, but Wally, he washes up right there mid-corner, and he's got to drive those seams. I've been seeing a few big wiggles coming out of that Sitco car.
He is rarefied air, and he's not intimidated by it at all, and he's fighting the man he fought at the Indianapolis 500. Tony Kanaan got the win that day. Munoz, as he goes to the inside, got second. What a night, what a race, how enjoyable it has been already as we welcome you back to Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. It's championship night, it's title decider, and the biggest movers of the Auto Club Speedway, the main man has been Alex Tagliani, making up 13 positions. And how about the 21-year-old Carlos Munoz right there in the white, orange, and red car, filling in for EJ Viso. He's one of our Auto Club Speedway biggest movers.
Whoa!
And he's gone! He's gone! Big time!
Easy, easy.
I hate to say I told you so. But
He had a little bit of a wiggle even before that.
I saw that coming, guys.
You
Man,
okay
I
now?
hate that for these young guys, but you cannot run the bottom that long. He's all right. He gave a thumbs up there.
Awesome job. You're doing an awesome job. So just hanging in for safety.
Awesome job, but that car is half the size as it used to be.
That was the voice of Paul Ziggy
Awesome
Harkis.
drive up till then. Awesome drive. Thank you, Carlos. It was so fun to watch.
And that's the reason Roger Penske was so concerned with
Yes.
Castroneves. With those two guys running together, it's amazing nobody got taken out. Marty?
Hey, T-Bell, you're exactly right. I don't know how many times Roger Penske said on the radio, it felt like for 10 straight laps, move away from the 5, move up the racetrack. And Elio kept reassuring him on the radio, I'm going to run my line. I'm not going to run the line he's running. I'm going to run my line. That may have saved Elio Castroneves a shot at this championship.
Tell you one thing, guys. When we called him the wild man at the Indy 500 on qualifying weekend on pole day, but he is spectacular. He is fast. Okay, he's 21. You can make errors, right? But I think for the future, if Andretti doesn't sign him up, he's a kid to grab.
Well, if you listen to his team, you know, on the radio, they loved what they were seeing.
Yeah.
They want somebody that's going to be in that car that's going to be charging.
Yeah, but Wally, you know, AJ Foyt loved what Sato was doing, but you can't, you know.
Yeah, but like Lee said, he's only run a couple of IndyCar races.
Let me tell you that is a big hit.
Ooh, he just missed.
I just can't believe nobody got taken out. That is a big hit.
I guess he just missed Marco.
That will change your confidence as a
Coming all
racing
the way down
driver.
here. Set your tools.
You will hear a lot of radio traffic, and as we watch 3 stacked, we'll see Sebastian Bourdais will come to a stop first. Championship contenders in the 2 lower spots. Sebastian Bourdais has been very pleased with his car so far tonight. Marty?
Elio Castroneves, bottom of your screen, he very clearly told Roger Penske on the radio, I do not want any changes with this car. They send him down pit road. Let's see if he can win the race off pit road, and he does. Elio Castroneves wins the race off pit road, Jan.
Scott Dixon had just a slightly longer stop. They checked the rear wing and rear pod because remember that contact that he had on course, so they took a little extra time this time to be sure everything is okay at the back for Dixon.
It was expensive time-wise for Marco, wasn't it?
Yeah, lost ground again in pit lane. I don't know if they made changes and that was the holdup, but
under caution for the 2nd time in this race. We had 7 yellow caution periods last year in the season finale. On the way to Ed Carpenter winning it and Ryan Hunter-Reay winning the championship. Wonder how the captain feels. Are they confident? At the moment, as the positions are, Elio would be champion. We'll keep you updated. Boy, that was a close moment.
You know, I think the combination between myself and the team Penske is working in all aspects, being inside the race car or inside the track, but also outside the racetrack. And honestly, for me, it's great because the highest point of my career in some of the wins that I had and the lowest time of my career, Roger and Team Penske were right there, you know, supporting me, and you can't top that. You know, for me, it's just a big family right now. We're really working together, and hopefully, I can get that championship that I'm really chasing for a long time.
He is one of the biggest personalities in open wheel racing. When the fans come to the track, like here at Auto Club Speedway, they come to see these cool cars, the high speed. They come to see the characters, the personalities like Elio Castroneves. He's a natural showman. Scott Dixon is more quiet. He's more conservative, if you wish. He's not the showman like Castroneves is, but they are both extraordinary car racers. And we're going to keep profiling these men as we go through the night. The positions as they run, this man, Elio Castroneves, has the points lead. But that's going to change. It's going to fluctuate. It's time for MAVTV to take us through the field.
Yeah, Lee, let's go through the field under caution here as we get ready to go green here in Fontana, California. Elio Castroneves winning the race off pit road. No changes on the car, and they'll try to lead as many laps as they can. He already has bonus points for leading a lap today, Jan, but now he wants to collect the extra bonus points for leading the most.
Yes, you talk about no changes. The same for Sebastian Bourdais. Sebastian's been very happy with that car. They obviously had a great pit stop, and he has not needed changes. The track seems to be coming to them. Now, not the case necessarily for Tony Kanaan, who follows. He had some push early on, called in, said he wanted some front wing. He got that during the pit stop, so now this car starts to get balanced as he likes it.
Jan, a lot of debate on Ryan Hunter-Reay's radio about whether to charge or whether to lay back and save a little bit of fuel between Ryan Hunter-Reay and Michael Andretti. He said, honestly, I felt like when I was leading, I was able to save fuel a little bit better. So they have told him, run as hard as you want on this stint, whereas the last stint, Kevin, they held him back a little bit.
Marty, I don't think it could be overstated how impressive this run has been for A.J. Allmendinger, considering this is his second oval race in an IndyCar in 6 or 7 years, and he's consistently running in the top 5, and he seems to be pretty loose right now. He was just asked, how you doing? He said, okay, how are you guys? Great, we're having fun. Jan.
On that last restart, we know that Will Power did not seem to get up to speed. We have not been able to find out why he seemed it. According to the target team and Scott Dixon, they felt that here Will Power was maintaining his position and everyone else jumped to start. They did not win that battle.
Jan, how about this run for Alex Tagliani, the highest running Honda? He told me, I feel like a kid at Christmas with a brand new bike in the garage. I've been so excited to get in this car every week, and I've seen the professionalism from Ganassi. That's what impressed me the most, and that's what I'll take to any team that I move forward to. Right now, Alex Tagliani in the 7th position. For Marco Andretti, they lost 4 spots on pit road earlier. The problem was the water temperature got too high. They had to clear off one of the radiators and open up one of the flaps. That was the issue. They started to lose power, Jan, on that last run.
And the great news for Simon Pagenaud, we saw he was the first person to make a pit stop tonight because they had the tire pressures inaccurate because of a gauge. He is back on the lead lap. He is one of the people that stayed out on that first caution, got his lap back, so now he is definitely in the running. Charlie Kimball is another one of those drivers that was able to use pit stops. On board, remember we saw some contact up front. That caused some understeer, and on a pit stop, he got some more front wing. Now the car's more to his liking.
Ed Carpenter, last year's winner, is trying to hang on and give himself an opportunity. The car has not been perfect. They've taken wing so he can make some cockpit adjustments, but it's been pushing up in other cars when he tries to pass. Marty?
First, we look at Scott Dixon and update the situation for the target team. They were not happy whatsoever with that last restart. Again, as I said, they did not win the battle. They thought that Power didn't do anything wrong. They were just boxed in. This time, they won't be.
Yeah, Dixon's ready to go. He got on it pretty early there. He's back in 12th. We go racing again with Elio Castroneves at the front of the field. Here comes Kanaan. Bourdais down on the low side in the 7. And the yellow machine, the DHL Chevy of Ryan Hunter-Reay. We've seen 3 wide, we've seen 4 wide, we've seen some fantastic racing. We've seen the excitement of Carlos Munoz. However, his race is over. Tagliani on the high side, Dinger is down low, and there is Will Power in front of him as well.
And as the night rolls on, these drivers are going to become more and more confident in knowing what they're going to deal with on restarts with new tires.
Speaking of restarts, we understand Alex Tagliani, actually I take that back, that was a Freudian slip, the 98 of J.R. Hildebrand is going to get a penalty.
What for?
Something on pit road, I think collecting some equipment on pit road. There's Tag on in the middle, blasting the target car straight through.
Yeah, I think he's just gotten so much more confident over the weekend. You know, I mean, he's driving for a great team. He knows this is a great opportunity, and he's getting laps, more and more laps. Both him and Allmendinger, you can see they're just getting better and better as this race goes on.
Looking at Hunter-Reay working on Castroneves. You know, with Tagliani, yellows, especially on an oval.
Oh, big crash.
Justin
Wilson and Tristan Vautier. And James Jakes
and
collects the debris.
Oh, boy, in Serbia.
And Joseph Newgarden.
You all right, Justin? Are you all
wow,
right?
Serbia's car
really
and Newgarden's car.
It's like he tried going through something the way those front wheels are hanging up there.
He's riding like a bobsled. Whoa.
What happened here? Oriol Servia in the National Guard Panther racing car. That's Tristan Vautier. Boy.
Oh boy, that's nice to see him get out. That, Wally, that thing is, that thing is done. Oriol Servia in his final race with Panther Racing in terms of his allotment this year. Ryan Briscoe filling in, and not the way Servia needed this one to go. Let's see what happened.
Okay, Justin Wilson, there's Servia. Graham Rahal is the yellow and black car. Justin Wilson wiggles.
That right rear tire was on that seam. We've talked about that, and Wilson turned in with his right rear right on the seam. Everybody else trying to get out of the way, and Servia just gets pancaked. And there comes Vautier T-boning Wilson, and then Simona somehow got caught up. She's down below sliding through the grass. But if we look at that again in slow motion, we're going to see Wilson, an unfortunate victim of those scenes.
Yeah, watch Servia up there. He just got slammed in by Newgarden. I mean, they were just trying to get on the high side of Wilson, but just ran out of room quickly. This should be a pretty good angle if we get on board here with Servia on the National Guard car.
All right, let's go to that onboard shot now. Take a ride with Oriol Servia.
Now you watch Wilson down on the left. He just gets a little bit loose there. Servia's got to make a decision, so he goes high, but out of nowhere, Newgarden comes slamming up the racetrack. So Servia made the right decision, but obviously Newgarden got hit and threw it up into Servia. Look at that front of that car, Townsend.
Massive impact. Steering column looked bent. That's a big hit when the steering column bends.
This is a view from James Jakes. He was one of the last to arrive on the scene.
He could not see anything. Just completely lost vision.
And you heard what sounded like maybe an axle or something off of Servia's car hit at our camera just above Jakes' head. And they're all trying to piece together what happened. It's just so nice to see all three of those guys standing there and not riding in an ambulance.
And Newgarden had to take that evasive action to avoid hitting Justin Wilson.
Well, what's the
dodging debris on the
Oh, there it is, an axle laying in the road. It's one of the more amazing things when you're a racing driver and you come around the first lap after a big crash like that under caution, just the number of parts.
Yeah,
I've learned more about the internals of race cars
just
under
laying
caution.
on the racetrack.
Like, wow, I didn't know there was that many gears in a gearbox.
And it's really hard to, obviously you can't miss all the debris. This is when you're under caution, you're worrying about picking up debris on these tires. Well, I think everybody would be coming in probably before this thing goes green to put new tires on.
And right now we're watching the Homacho safety team looking after Justin Wilson, who's still in his car. And he's one of the taller drivers in the series, if not the tallest driver in the series. And luckily with this new Dallara, it used to be that Justin Wilson sat on the floor of the car, just on hard carbon fiber to get in the thing. With this new Dallara, they've got a nice big cushion of mandatory foam that he's got to ride in. So our thoughts are with him here as they tend to him.
Will Power is the first car on pit road that you see. Charlie Kimball is following him in. Let's go to the Penske camp.
And one of the reasons why they're pitting Will Power as you ride on board with Kimball, they are going to be changing the visor for Will Power. You see they go to the helmet. So this will be a lengthy stop, but of course it's under caution. Kimball gets away, but they are now finishing up the visor for, that's not something you see every day, but they're taking the opportunity to get a new visor for Will Power. Obviously at over 200 miles an hour, it needs to be right.
Jan, I think if I was to guess, it would be that Will Power's run out of tear-offs and that there's no way he can go another 115 laps, 120, 135 laps without more tear-offs because of the amount of dust, Wally, on this track. That stuff will pit your visor so fast. It could have been that he pulled a tear-off and lost them all, and he needs more to finish the race. I've been there before. It's no fun.
Well, like you said, with the just the dirt on the racetrack tonight. It's just like sandblasting. Just sandblast your visor.
Yeah. And the side of the front and the sides of the car have been getting punished here at Auto Club Speedway Fontana. So Justin Wilson and Simona Di Silvestro being attended to. We'll be back. Back at Fontana, and you are looking at a crumpled mess that started out the day as the National Guard Panther Chevrolet. Oriol Servia is okay. He's out of the car. You see the yellow and green machine for Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports in the foreground. That's Tristan Vautier. He's out of his car and he's okay. How did all of this start to create our third caution? Take a look at this.
Now, Lee, you're seeing Graham and Justin Wilson side by side here, and if we can just slow things down, and let's just pause right there for a second if we can. And you're going to look at this seam right there. Wilson is 6 inches off. Now let's go ahead and play. You're going to see that right rear tire right here get up on that seam, and right there it starts wiggling and just works its way loose as the front end responds off the seam. And now he's saving it. You see his hands going. Look at Justin saving it, saving it, saving it. Now I'm done. I've lost it. I got full opposite lock and it's not enough. And at this point, it's hands across chest, brakes locked up, and carnage behind him.
Yeah, Newgarden he drove hard right to try to avoid Wilson, but he didn't know Servia was there.
And that was a nasty hit from Vautier.
You know, we talked about it earlier. These cars, the tires now have all the grip, and that's where I think the seams become trouble. It's when you have that much grip on these cars and you hit that seam. We saw it last year.
I'd initially thought that, you know, Wilson had backed into something, but it was really the spearing from Vautier, who had nowhere to go. It was really a side impact.
The whole Matro safety team and the Indy Racing League medical team are working with Justin Wilson right now. Meanwhile, the cleanup continues, and this has championship implications, this crash. By eliminating that many cars and competitors out of this race, it makes it harder now for Elio Castroneves. First or second are the only options in this race to keep his championship hopes alive. As we slowly approach the halfway mark of the final IndyCar race of the year, it's the MAVTV 500 presented by Lucas Oil. Welcome back, Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, Wally Dallenbach, Marty Snyder, Robin Miller, Jan Beekes, and Kevin Lee with you as always for this finale. And we're running at a very slow pace. If you've just turned on, just joined us, a third full course caution. A really nasty incident started when Justin Wilson spun and got hit at very high speed by Tristan Vautier, and then other cars were involved as well. Simona Di Silvestro and James Jakes, Joseph Newgarden, and also Oriol Servia. So, Marty, what's the latest? What have you heard?
Well, Diff, I came to talk to Dale Coyne just to see if he had heard anything on the radio from Justin Wilson. He said Justin did not say anything on the radio, but Justin did lift up his own visor by himself and took his helmet off by himself as well. So clearly there was some movement after the accident, according to Dale Coyne. We'll wait to get a first official word from IndyCar officials once he gets to the infield care center.
While we were in the break, I can tell you that Justin was extracted from the car and placed on a stretcher and into the ambulance. That's where Wilson is right now. So as soon as we know more, we will bring it to you. A really tough break for Justin Wilson, who was enjoying his best IndyCar season to date. He was fourth in the points coming into this race, running strong. He's one of the fiercest competitors in this field, and a really nice guy.
Incredibly nice guy. And we talk about Scott Dixon being a driver who says little and leaves the talking for the racetrack. Justin Wilson subscribes to the same theory, and one of the most competitive guys in this series for many, many years, a phenomenal driver. And we're going to hope that he's okay.
That's a great shot there that shows you the seams that Wally and Townsend have been talking about on this multi-lane track. There's some pretty interesting radio from the KB Racing Technology team to Tony Kanaan, this year's Indy 500 winner. Have a listen.
Justin's the one that caused the wreck because he got his right rear kind of too long up on that seam in 1 and 2. The second one down really kind of brought him around, just for your information.
And that's the voice.
That's why I lost a few positions, Jimmy, because I cannot go there right now because of our front wing. I mean, it will happen the same thing with me. So I'm going to hang up here for a few laps. What's going to happen? This guy's running low. This guy's running low. They're going to wear their tires. Then I'm going to come back. I cannot go down right now.
That far back, you know what to do.
And that was almost the same spot
Yes.
that Will got in trouble last year.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That was the voice, incidentally, of co-team owner Jimmy Vasser, who knows a thing or two about Fontana, because he holds the record for the fastest 500-mile race when he won here in 02.
Lee, you heard Tony Kanaan say something about, I can't do that, meaning I can't get on those seams with the way my front wing is. I see a little damage on the left front main plane of Tony Kanaan's number 11 hydroxy cut car. And I don't know if that's from contact or perhaps debris
from that
incident.
Yeah. Kevin?
Oriol Servia, first of all, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm 100%.
Tell me what happened. You were just an innocent bystander here.
Yeah, I was just behind Justin and I saw him getting loose, and for a second I didn't know if to go high or low. I ended up going high, which was good because I was going to miss him, but just on my left, Joseph tried to miss Justin and then collected me. So it was, one of those things. We're all fighting for some little real estate, and what are you going to do? Joseph was just trying to obviously not T-bone Justin, and he did what he could. Unfortunate, because I think we had a great car for the end of the race, and we just couldn't show it.
Good to see you're okay. See you next season.
Yep, thanks.
Oriol Servia.
There were two violent hits. That was one, the Newgarden Servia one, and the other one was Vautier on Wilson. Two very different. One was side to side, one was nose to side. And that's what's left. Boy, it's been a tough night for Dale Coyne Racing. Pippa Mann out, Justin Wilson out. Time for a break. We'll come back and hopefully go racing when we return. It's been an expensive night in more ways than one, because out of this race, as we give you some important figures brought to you by MAVTV, Saavedra's out, Munoz out, Vautier, Jakes, Newgarden, Servia, Wilson, all out of this race. Let's check in with Kevin Lee. Kev?
Three of those involved in this: Joseph Newgarden, Tristan Vautier, and James Jakes, all down here, all already checked and released. We'll start with different perspectives. Joseph, what happened to you?
Well, I guess I was the first guy to see him spinning. He was right in front of me, and Oriol was to my outside, and once Justin spun, there was a big cloud of smoke, and the big thing for me was just to get out of his way. I didn't want to T-bone him, and then I ended up getting into Servia really hard. And thankfully, Servia's okay. It seemed kind of bad on my right side, but the biggest thing is that Justin's good, and everything that I understand so far is that he's fine, and I think that speaks volumes to the DW12 chassis and everything that IndyCar has done for safety. I mean, we work really hard to keep these guys safe, and everything that the Hamaltro safety crew does for us. These guys are just prepared for these type of things to happen. I mean, this is auto racing, and if everyone's safe, then that's the best thing we can hope for right now.
Thank you, Joseph. Happy to see you're okay. Tristan, you had nowhere to go. That was scary when you T-boned him. Could you see anything?
Yeah, no, I actually didn't see him before I hit him. There was a big cloud of smoke, and I just felt the hit, but didn't see anything of what was happening. So yeah, the most important is that everybody's okay. We were worried for Justin when we got out the cars, but apparently he's fine. So it's a shame for everyone's race, for all of us. Shame for us for NGCs. We wanted to finish off strong, but we're glad everybody's okay. It was a bit of a scary crash, so the main thing is that everybody's fine. So yeah, that's the way it is.
James, scary stuff. Your perspective?
Yeah, just similar stuff really. We were on the outside there, and he got caught in the smoke, and you lose perception of everything. So it was a tough day for the number 16. Obviously, we started 5th. Yeah, you just lose your vision and where everyone is, and then I got hit with the debris. So yeah, it was a tough day to end like that after starting 5th. We were looking to have a competitive run here today, and just unfortunate.
Thank you. That's James Jakes, and we'll stand by the medical center and wait for more information on Justin Wilson.
You guys, you think he got collected?
No, I think it went. I think it went over his helmet. But I'll tell you what, that was a big piece of debris, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Looked like one of those ankle axles coming out of there. See
right
that?
there.
That's an axle. That's a half shaft,
Oh, my
and
goodness.
that is not a lightweight piece of material.
He's very, very lucky right there.
That is shades of Felipe Massa, Hungary, with that spring where he was collected in the head, and I mean that could have been very nasty for James Jakes. Marty?
Well, Lee, we have been worried about debris on the racetrack this entire caution. I think Ryan Hunter-Reay found some with the left rear tire. He will pit from second position. It's going to put him off strategy with everybody else. 123 laps in the books here. You see him come down pit road. They will get it full of fuel. They'll get him 4 new tires. But again, the left rear tire going down for Ryan Hunter-Reay, running over some debris during this caution. When we come back, we'll have a green flag. Elio Castroneves is your leader. Still trying to win that championship. Going to be interesting to see what happens as we continue from Fontana.
You know, you got to be consistent. Yeah, luck plays a part.
Oh, and he hits one of Power's guys.
You know, there's different scenarios. You just have to be on your toes. You got to be always biting for that win or that podium. And a lot of the times you're going to strike through if you get that little bit of luck, or just the performance is going to make it through. It's kind of, you know, covering all the bases, but, you know, some people don't believe in luck, but, you know, I'd rather be lucky than good sometimes, you know.
And isn't it amazing, when this guy here was sitting face into the wall at Baltimore, did he ever think that he'd be in the position he is in now, leading the championship, coming into the final race? Quite extraordinary, the twists and turns of this championship. There's the man who calls the shots for him. That's Mike Hull on the Ganassi box. And his fight with this guy, Elio Castroneves, who leads the race. And I want to reiterate a point I made earlier. With the number of retirements from this race, it changes the mathematical equation. For Castroneves to win, he has to finish first or second. Kev?
We have information now on Justin Wilson from Dr. Michael Ollinger from IndyCar. He is awake and alert. He is being transported via ground to a local hospital, Arrowhead Regional, for further evaluation of his lower back. But I think that's positive at this point. Awake and alert for Justin Wilson.
That is fantastic news. That is great news for Justin. The back is probably a little bit worrying, though, because many of you will remember Justin broke his back at Mid-Ohio a couple of years ago. So we hope that everything is okay there, but big picture-wise, awake and alert, that's a good sign. Ready to go back to racing, and we are right at the halfway mark of the MAVTV 500. Have you enjoyed it so far? We've had a little bit of everything, and the best is yet to come, because we're going to decide this championship, because the man trying to win it is leading this race. Watch for that third car in line. Tagliani is being very racy tonight. Castroneves, Bourdais, Tagliani, Canaan, feeling good about things. And on the inside is Marco Andretti. He has been consistently at the front tonight.
And if Castroneves has to finish first or second, Tagliani can make his life a lot more difficult on this hard charge to the front. Put him at least in second place, but Bourdais pushing up the inside. And again, look at the dust and the debris that settles on this track. It's very uncommon. Normally in IndyCar sucks the debris off the track, and Bourdais pushing straight to the front.
Alex Tagliani leads this race, but for how long? He sees some clear track ahead. He's got Bourdais down on the inside.
You're just on your corner.
What a story this is for Alex Tagliani. Filling in for the injured Dario Franchitti, and Tags takes it to the front. Hildebrand back on pit road, and that's servicing that penalty. The drive-through done, he's back out and at it. And these guys are at it as well. How about Tagliani, Marty?
An incredible story, Lee. And I spent some time with him yesterday. This battle for the lead almost goes 3 wide now. And he told me, I kind of feel weird taking something that doesn't belong to me. He said, as soon as I got word, I emailed Dario Franchitti, and he reassured me, hey, man, do the best you can. Help Dixie win the championship, but go win a race if you can. They've been emailing twice a day, and Dario encouraging him along the way. We never thought Tags would be this much of a factor, though, up front, guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a confidence boost for a driver that doesn't have a ride. He lost his ride earlier this year. You always, as a driver, you start second-guessing yourself in a situation like this. Tags in a great situation, and he's showing everybody that you put me in the right car, I can do it.
Well, you know, he's a pole sitter at the Indy 500. He was a pole sitter at Texas Motor Speedway. And, you know, the analysis on Tag has always been what happens deep into the tire stint on an oval as the handling starts to go away and how he hangs on. But right now he's showing no signs of wanting to let go of this front-running performance.
And Dario, we know that you're watching. We wish you well, as we mentioned earlier in the show. I know it's been a super day for you because your little brother, Marino, won the P2 class at Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta earlier today for the Level 5 Motorsports team. Scott Tucker and Ryan Briscoe driving with him. Boy, this is a race. I know you wish you were in it, Dario, but the man who's filling in is doing a mighty fine job. And here comes Dixon on the inside.
Wow.
Scott Dixon on the inside of Will Power.
Near the bottom. Close quarter racing.
And I could almost sense Will Power seeing Dixon come in his mirrors, and Dixon clearly carrying a little bit of the history between these two guys over the last few races, and he just made a decisive move up the inside on Power, but Power's coming back now.
Penske and Ganassi, Ganassi and Penske. We've got the big teams, the big players at the front where they need to be, fighting for this championship.
So many storylines here, including that Dr. Pepper car, Marco Andretti. He would love to finish this season on top with a W, and Will Power comes fighting back. All kinds of stuff going on.
You know, there's a certain mystery, and Townsend, Wally, you know about it well. People say, well, what is it that Ganassi's got that makes them special? What is it that the Penske and the Andrettis have that make them special? Alex Tagliani finally entered that world this week, where he went into the inner sanctum of Team Ganassi, and he said, it's a whole new world.
Oh, sure. I mean, you know, you're at a different level when you get into one of these cars like that for Ganassi or Penske. And like I said, it's such a confidence booster. Tag is having the time of his life right now. He's sitting there looking up front saying, you know what, I can do this. And it doesn't matter, Townsend, how many races you've won or championships you won, whatever. If you have a bad run of races, you lose confidence, and this is something that you need.
Let's take you back just a short while ago when Scott Dixon had that run on the inside of Will Power. Watch this. I see an opportunity.
Look at Dixon's eyes. They're getting just a little bit bigger. His Power squeezes him just a little bit on the inside. And now his eyes settle back into what we're used to seeing, which is the eye of the tiger.
Out of the draft comes Tagliani on Will Power.
Right now, gonna run, looking outside.
And with every lap Tagliani does in this Target Ganassi car, the confidence rises. And here we have our championship contenders. And that's how they run, incidentally, right now. Dixon maintains his lead. Castroneves is second.
Castroneves must have lost a little bit of the handle on his car because he's not even close to being as strong as he was earlier in this race.
Plenty of time for both guys. Meanwhile, the fight at the front for the lead of this race as Will Power and Alex Tagliani approach J.R. Hildebrand.
And now Tagliani's got a little bit of an issue. Previously, they were able to fan out, but with a lap car in front of him, Tagliani got in a little bit of dirty air, had to pedal the car, allows Will Power to gain a little bit of a gap.
Jan?
And the view that Will Power has, of course, is clear now, not just because he's in the lead. When they changed that visor, Townsend, you were on the money. It had to do with the tear-offs.
Be the leader for a while.
But it had to do with the fact he could not get the tear-offs off of the visor. So they had to change the visor because there was no way to peel them off to get clear vision. Now he has the lead and clear vision.
Can you imagine the irony if Will Power wins this final race?
Yeah.
The race that he tried to win last year to win the championship, the race that he tried to win the year before to win the championship, and the year before that.
And you know what? If he does, he'll say, God, it was so easy. You know, it just fell to me without all that pressure, as you say, with the championship expectations.
Hildebrand's 8 back, a lap down.
I'll tell you what, looking at J.R. Hildebrand and that Brian Herta car, 1 year at Fontana, Brian Herta had a visor issue, and it's because his visor flew off, and he had no visor. And he had to drive around with his eyes closed as all of this very finite debris here at Fontana, California Speedway, was shooting through the opening of his helmet. I can't imagine what that must have been like.
We cannot be remiss to forget to mention the Manufacturers' Championship. It's a big, big deal. There are only 2 engine suppliers in this series. It's Honda versus Chevrolet, and it's going to be a winner-takes-all. Whoever finishes in the higher spot for the cars that can score manufacturers' points, who have not exceeded their engine limits in this year's series, will walk away as 2013 engine manufacturer champions. At the moment, it's swinging Chevy's way.
Castroneves is continuing to lose ground.
And he looks
as
loose
Carpenter
to me,
takes a spot. Yep.
I'm watching the back of that number 3 car really walk around on corner entry. Ed Carpenter, we haven't talked a lot about, but we're just past halfway, and Ed's moving into the 6th position. trying to repeat what happened last year, winning the season finale. Castroneves coming back, surprisingly making a move back on Ed Carpenter. Here's Dixon making a move on Bourdais.
This is for fourth, down on that low side. Andretti still having a good run. He's up in third, chasing Tagliani and Power.
And guys in the back, Elio Castroneves watching points slip away. Roger Penske just told him on the radio, you know what to do. A lot of laps left, a lot of time. Don't worry about it right now. Townsend, you're right on the money. Car, once again, getting a little too loose. The longer they run for Elio, this was the problem on the first run, and they've kept up with the track with very small changes, but haven't had to make very many big changes on this number 3 car. I wonder if on the next stop they might change that strategy.
Well, I'm sure they're going to have to change the strategy. They're, you know, because the first couple stops you heard Elio say, don't change anything on the car. Yep. So obviously the track has changed.
Castroneves making me nervous working one of those seams on the outside right rear through the last corner. Now he's got controls in the car, Wally. He's got a weight checker and he's got anti-roll bars, but those controls have limits. You can move them in the direction to help you, but they do eventually reach a stopping point.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to start making a lot bigger swings on these pit stops and try to get the handling back.
Dixon eases past Marco Andretti to slide into third place and extend the advantage, but there is still a long way to go. 108 laps left. A reminder about tomorrow night, and I don't think I have to remind you, it's America's Game of the Week, and it's going to be huge. Peyton Manning returning to Indy to face the Colts for the first time as a Denver Bronco. It's Sunday Night Football. Bob Costas hosts Football Night in America. Coverage from 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. That's going to be massive.
It's going to be a great game. I actually got a text from a friend who is sitting on the Broncos team plane. I don't know how she got on there, but she said that the air is thick and intense. They're game ready.
Now, for your football teammate USC, got some bad news for you. Just defeated by Notre Dame.
Well, in that case, I'm going UCLA for the rest of the year.
Will Power, who holds an advantage here, not only in the race, but as far as a strategic one as well. He last pitted on lap 119. The guys he's fighting have been out there for a lot longer, Wally.
Yeah, like I said, when Hunter Ray and these guys came in to change tires and top off, I'm surprised more guys didn't do that. It was Sato looks like he is out of the car and done. You know, but I'm surprised some of these guys didn't come in and do that. About 4 or 5 of them did.
When Sato pitted, I saw one of the mechanics look into the left side radiator inlet and shake his head. And I just wonder if they either took debris into that inlet somehow or just gathered up too much dust and spent rubber and overheated that motor.
And is that the last time we see Takuma Sato drive for AJ Foyt Racing? We'll yet to see. We'll have to see that to be confirmed. Cracking pace at the front. And look who just keeps sneaking up. The Fuzzies Chevrolet of Ed Carpenter. Can you imagine if he wins 3 years in succession at the last race of the season?
Well, you notice that, Townsend.
Back at Auto Club Speedway in California. Our apologies for those technical challenges there, but we are back. And this is the season finale for the IZOD IndyCar Series with 100 laps to go in this 250-lapper.
Now, does AJ pass Castroneves here? That's AJ Allmendinger, brought in at the last second by the Penske team to support Castroneves.
But I just think Castroneves is struggling so much, guys. Even when he gets around another car, it just looks like he's got to roll out of it because he watches up. I think he's going to be wanting to come into pit lane right now.
There we go. The story is being told right in front of our eyes. And the two teams that clashed on pit road at Sonoma earlier this year. Keep in mind, though, it wasn't the 3 team, it was the 12. Ray Hall is in. Midas team serviced.
Go.
Kevin?
Good stop, guys. Good.
Ed Carpenter's going to be pitting in just a moment. He's been on the charge here as high as 5th, running 6th before this pit stop, and here comes Carpenter at 60 miles an hour. The car was struggling early on. It was pushing, but it's gotten better each stint. The weekend started poorly. They had a shock issue on Friday, and the first practice yesterday, but each session a little bit better. And don't count Ed Carpenter. He might be able to get another win here at Fontana, Marty.
Kevin, Elio Castroneves, worst run of the day. They'll have problems getting the right rear tire on. A little bit longer of a stop for Elio Castroneves. He'll leave. Scott Dixon will be pitting on the next lap, I believe.
Dixon's on his way in.
Stay right in here for us. That gives you room on the board.
Now Scott Dixon, of course, is pitted right behind Castroneves. And I was able to look over and see the rear of Castroneves, and they took downforce. And here, for Scott Dixon, they removed a panel. Sebastian Bourdais has issues. Kevin?
Yeah, they had to raise it back on the jacks for Bourdais, so an extra 6 or 7 seconds on the stop for the Dragon 7 car.
Oh, and he is
frustration there. And I mean, you know, these guys were having such a great run. Bourdais was very strong tonight.
Guys, interesting to see on several of those pit stops we saw with Ed Carpenter and also with Dixon, they are pulling off shutters on the radiator inlets, and I wonder if that might have been an issue here with Bourdais. Let's see.
Watch the left front.
He's slow getting it off. Clear. Oh, he lost the wheel.
Yeah, they dropped the jack before he had the wheel tight.
See him pull a tape off that radiator inlet, but he lost the wheel nut out of the gun. And like you said, they dropped the car before the wheel nut was tight, putting it back on. And that is such a penalty on an oval like this, under green flag conditions. You lose a ton of time.
Marco Andretti with 95 to go. Here's our race leader, Will Power, who is comfortable out in front.
5 or 6 more laps.
So in 156, he last pitted on 119. The guys who are right behind him, Hunter Ray Kimball and Hildebrand, are kind of in that same zip code as well about when they came in. Incidentally, Simon Pagenaud cycled through for his latest stop on that last round.
Now, during those pit stops, it all was very frantic down here. Just to give you a quick update, Castroneves, they took out front and rear wing to trim the car out. For Dixon, they removed a panel, a shutter, as you're talking about, Townsend, to get cooling to the left pod on the side. And for Simon Pagenaud, they added a bit of front wing to get the car back in balance.
Thanks, Jan. Now, removing the shutter to cool the engine, it's not getting any hotter outside, Wally. It's because more and more debris is building up inside those radiators.
And I wonder how much of that stuff was picked up during that accident, because a lot of those guys haven't been in since then, or since before that.
What blows me away is you look at how there's no dust trail coming off the cars here, but a yellow comes out, they bunch up, and all of a sudden it's if, I don't know if it's LA smog or what's in the air, you know, something's settling on the track.
Take a look at Scott Dixon's stop.
And you watch the left front tire changer. As soon as he's done, he's going to get in. He pulls an actual carbon panel. It's a filler panel. That's a big shutter.
And guys, you talk about pulling those shutter panels. They've done it twice for Marco Andretti. He's been losing the power at the end of every run, overheating because of that debris you're mentioning, Townsend. His teammate, Ryan Hunter-Reay, on pit road. It'll be 4 tires. They, like Lee mentioned, off sequence with everybody else. The car is pretty good. They're just off sequence with everybody else. We expect Will Power pitting in a couple laps as well.
You know, I think, Townsend, you pull those shutters out too. If there's debris packed in there, this is only going to be, it's only going to help it a little bit unless you clean it somehow.
The drivers have adjustments in the car that eventually run out, and the teams have adjustments on shutters, and those too eventually run out. Right. So we need to keep an eye on engine temperatures. Could be a storyline as we come to these last 90 laps.
This is for position. Ed Carpenter, Simon Pagenaud. It's in the top 10. Carpenter's in 9th, Pagenaud 10th. Jan?
No changes expected for Will Power. Of course, they're on a slightly different sequence because they were able to top off when they came in a couple times to change that visor.
Set your fuel. Watch the mat here.
Being talked through on the radio, having to wait for fuel a little bit. Slowed it to 9.4 seconds. But again, on a different sequence, this should work well for Will Power.
It's been a very smooth night, except for that one restart where it was kind of a bit mysterious, where he just didn't go with the rest of the field. Other than that, It's been a very fine run for Will Power.
And you can only imagine Scott Dixon sitting directly behind Will Power under that restart after what happened in Baltimore with the practice contact, the race contact, the Sonoma. I mean, Dixon's eyes have got to be in the back of his head going,
wow,
come on.
Look at the difference of new tires right there. That's Bourdais, who just came out of the pits, and Kimball, who's about to come in the pits. Look, that's the difference in grip on new tires to old tires.
These tires are 40 laps old on Charlie Kimball's car. So the order is Kimball, but he's going to pit. He's going to cycle through. We know that. So this is really the fight here. Will Power, Scott Dixon. Tagliani is running in a very good third place behind his new Ganassi teammate. Just for this race, we should stress. J.R. Hildebrand left the screen, gets serviced by the Brian Herder Autosport boys.
And you know, JR is really trying to show people that he belongs in this series. Was a teammate of mine at Panther Racing at the Indy 500. Was let go middle of the season by Panther Racing, and he's fought his way back to earn an opportunity with Brian Herta. Was having a good run tonight until that drive-through penalty. He's a lap down. If he can get his lap back, he might be in this thing.
Kevin and I were talking a little bit earlier because, you know, we're still really in the silly season, even though it's the end of the season, and that yet to be determined for JR next year. Charlie Kimball comes in right on cue, but there's some positive talk about that Luca Filippi might be looking good for that ride next year. We'll wait to have that confirmed.
They are expected to give Charlie Kimball.
3, 2, 1, hit your mark.
That's Tom Wirtz on the radio. They're going to give him a half turn of front wing. Oh, but a little bit of a, it's okay, it didn't cost them, but a bit of miscue on the right front. 8.7 seconds, Marty.
Well, Jan, we can't discredit Carlos Munoz for not putting on a show tonight. Was it a little bit just too much aggressive this evening, or what?
No, really, it was a surprise for me. The first few runs, I had too much understeer. The team just changed me a little bit the pressures, and suddenly I just missed the car now.
And there's your replay. Did you just lose it there, or what?
Yeah, I just lose it once, like in one big oversteer. You know, in ovals, it's not room for mistakes. I'm sad, a little bit sad, you know. In practice, I was dead last, you know. In practice, I was not feeling comfortable at all. So just I went inside my car, and my mind just drifted, and it was really fast. So.
A lot of fun to see you tonight. Will we see you full-time here next year?
Hopefully, yeah. I think this was a learning process. I think I have to take a little bit more easy the front, but yeah, hopefully it will be nice to be full-time next year and prove what I'm capable of.
He puts on a show like this tonight. I think we'll all be excited to have him around next year, Kevin.
Marty, unfortunately, Takuma Sato is an early exit tonight because of an engine issue. We've been hearing a lot of talk from the booth and seeing a lot of problems with debris. Might that have caused the engine failure?
It might be, yeah. We came to the pit and the guys looked at the inside the radiator. There was lots of debris. I mean, we tried to avoid the best, but there was tons of that. We scooped it up, but then after a couple of laps, we had an overheated problem.
The season started with so much promise. You led the points going into the 500. Unfortunately, this is your 10th DNF. What's in store for next year?
Well, we had a difficult season mid-season and sort of came back on the speed and on the end of the season. That was a very, very positive. It was a tough season, but still I think it was a tremendous job, you know, from ABC, Saprai, you know, the HF4 racing guys, and it's a really big well done, and hopefully, you know, we hope today we had a good race, but it didn't happen. You know, next year hopefully we come back very, very strong.
Thank you, Takuma.
Good battle on the right-hand side there between Simon Pagenaud, Ryan Hunter-Ray. These guys are fighting for a top 5 spot. I couldn't help but giggle a little bit with Carlos Munoz there. He's such a lovely young man. He says, I think I just have to take it a little bit easier. I don't think he knows how to take it easier.
I think he's got Wally Dahlin back in his ear too much, saying, go for it, kid, you're fine, stay down there.
Fun to watch. I tell you, Hunter Ray's car looks really good right now, guys. If he can run that close as he did to Pagenaud and pull off that pass, he's got to be pretty happy what he's got right there.
Yeah, he's been running well all night, as has this man here. 3 times a championship runner-up. Will Power has a 1.6 second lead over Scott Dixon. All Dixon's got to do is stay where he's at, and he's going to have a 3rd championship. We were entertained by a great young talent, Carlos Munoz, earlier in this race tonight. How about the future faces of open wheel racing? We congratulate these young men, Scott Hargrove, Matty Brabs, Matthew Brabham, and Sage Karam, for winning the USF 2000, the Pro Mazda, and the Indy Lights, the Firestone Indy Lights. The final time it'll be called that for winning their respective championships and on their way up. And we talk about where they want to go. Well, that's where Scott Dixon and Elio Castroneves are right now. They're fighting for the Astor Cup and to be called IndyCar champion. For Scott, it would be 3. For Elio, it would be his very first. We've got a lot still to play for. What? It's these two men still going at it.
Watch this. Let's stay with this shot. And he keeps, after he gets off the corner, it looks like he tugs his helmet down a little bit.
Yeah,
like
I've been in this situation.
And it's pitted, and he's almost moving his helmet a little bit.
We've talked a lot about debris and the effect on the radiators, but also the effect on visors and visor tear-offs. Look at Castroneves. That's his visor strip. That is normally a perfectly straight white strip. It's been obliterated, literally sandblasted. I've been in this situation. What you have to do is your visor gets pitted, and then you start pulling it down to look through a narrow sliver of clear plastic.
Right. Yep.
Not fun.
Guys, you can also see on Scott Dixon's in-car camera the pitted visor. What Elio Castroneves' team has done, you see him pull it down once again, trying to find a place to see. There you see Dixon's on the left-hand side, pitted as well. But what Elio's team has done is they have built him a new visor, much like his teammate Will Power did earlier in the race, changing out the visor. They built a brand new visor, several tear-offs on the visor. They have all the tools out, ready to put a new visor on. There you see the new visor. And you hear Roger Penske talking about debris on the racetrack, a common theme tonight. All the tools are ready, the new visor is ready. Do they get a caution long enough to help out Elio to be able to see better on the racetrack? That's the question.
He's got a tear off left, doesn't he?
He's got one left.
One left.
But if he pulls that, you can see clearly he is trying to adjust his helmet.
He's milking that as long as he can.
one to go. It's an exercise in eco-friendly behavior. The hard part here is that changing a visor on a driver's head in pit lane is not you're not dealing with a fixed object like a front wing, you know? I mean, it's very difficult to do that quickly, and it's very easy to strip the screws that hold that visor in.
Let's check in with Kevin. What do you got, Kev?
Well, Ed Carpenter has been running well, but he's also one of many that's been dealing with some overheating issues. Townsend, you were asking about some type of blower. We don't have a blower, but we have something that can suck debris out of here. An old-fashioned shop vac from the garage that they used on the last pit stop. Among the things they found, a tear-off. So they've been dealing with those kind of issues. He's also lost some rear grip this time around, so the balance and the handling is not great for Carpenter, but still a long way to go in this race and for the race car to come back.
When we talk about these kind of issues, typically in endurance sports car racing, where you'll see the guys get the air guns out on the front of a prototype or on the sides of a prototype and just blow it out. Can't do that here. It's not as easily accessible because those rads are much further back and deep in there.
But you know, if these guys are getting that kind of buildup, Townsend, it doesn't take long. They'll start popping engines here pretty quick.
Absolutely.
If they don't get this stuff cleaned out with the shop vac or something, like I said, they've done all they can for the opening. But now you've got to start getting it out of the radiator.
Sato's motor went at lap 144, if in fact that's what happened, and that was a Honda. Our championship leader, Scott Dixon, also in a Honda.
This man here, Will Power, has won 2 of the last 4 races. It's been a tough, frustrating season for a variety of reasons. Was never a championship contender, but boy, he's finishing the last few races brilliantly.
It's going to be a sprint to the line.
3-1 across the line. Dixon finishes runner-up.
Oh, contact just before turn 6. It's Tristan Baudier and Scott Dixon.
Oh! That's the kind of drive that wins championships. 3 wins in a row to Scott Dixon.
Dixon switched up. Oh, and he hits one of Power's guys.
Oh! Wow. And the championship contenders' day is over. Dixon wins his 4th of the year. This championship is going to go all the way to the final.
Talk about peaks and valleys.
Wow, I was just thinking, watching that, for all the young drivers out there, you couldn't look to a better driver, a more well-rounded driver than Scott Dixon to use as your example, that you have to ride out the highs and lows.
And, you know, he is sitting in such a perfect spot right here. He's doing all he needs to do to win this championship. You know, he's sitting there just riding along. He's got nobody he's fighting with, and he's got a big point lead right now. Still a long way to go, but he doesn't have to push the issue at this point.
At this point, you know that his issue is not going to be car performance, car setup. He's got the car to win this championship tonight. It's will that engine hang on? Will anybody get in his way? Will he get caught up in any trouble? Hunter-Reay in the pits.
And guys, this is much earlier than Ryan Hunter-Reay probably should have pitted. It'll be 4 tires for Ryan Hunter-Reay. The car has been a little too tight for him. You see them make the wing adjustment. His teammate Marco Andretti pits right in front of him. Marco also having a problem with the overheating issue. Every run, towards the end of the run, you see them pull another piece out, trying to get that radiator cool, trying to keep Marco's car cooled down. The end of the run, every run for Marco, it gets too hot and they lose power lead.
Yeah, I think that pit guy just tried grabbing, see whatever debris he could get off there. Yeah. There's nothing more to pull out of there except for garbage.
Typically what you see is because of the gritty nature of this track, it's particles from the track blended with debris, but in particular it's the rubber buildup, and it gets together and it blends and it blocks the fins on the face of the radiator, both the oil and the water rads on these cars.
Well, you know a lot about radiators.
Yeah, he really does. How do you know so much, Lee?
I know, just read a lot of it.
A lot of plane rides.
64 laps to go in a race that has been extremely entertaining. 19 lead changes, 9 different leaders. This man's been at the front, but he had a very slow stop last time, Jan, didn't he?
He did. They're hoping that this time they don't have a miscue with dropping it before they get that done. One thing, while you see these leaders pit, I want you to keep in mind Charlie Kimball was the last on the previous cycle. I have a feeling that they are going to try and stay out and not make a final stop. All the rest of the leaders are expected to be on pit road, so watch that one.
You mean he's got to make one more stop?
No, I think he's going to try to go to the end. Oh, sorry, 62. My bad. Yes, one less stop.
Here's Tagliani. What a great drive it's been from Alex. He's been racing in the Rolex Grand Am Sports Car Series in a Ferrari in GT. It's dramatically different equipment here.
And the car's been terrific for Alex Tagliani. He wants a very slight change, getting a little too tight towards the end of that run. Elio Castroneves, our championship contender, is also pitting here on pit road as he comes to a stall very slowly. Roger Penske calls him in. He said, honestly, the car is not that bad right now. They're just behind on track position. It'll be interesting to see if they can gain some here. A quick stop for Elio and his team, Jan.
And right behind, of course, Roger Penske looks over. We know that right pitted behind them, and you saw a lot of courteous work on pit road, the way they were moving those tires out of the way. Now it's the time for Scott Dixon, and there's a crash.
AJ Allmendinger.
Whoa.
Was that Bourdais who flashed through there?
It was somebody.
That was a very,
and that
very
is right in between turns 3 and 4. That's where we saw the practice crashes. See AJ moving inside the cockpit. I was going to say right in between turns 3 and 4. That's where we saw the practice crashes. Also the Munoz accident.
Yeah. And there's AJ stepping from the Izod Chevrolet.
Oh boy. He lost it early in the corner, Wally. Ooh.
It was Ed Carpenter below him. Ed wasn't coming to the pits, no?
No. It was Bourdais who went through on the low side. And knowing AJ the way we do, you saw the frustration when he got out of the car and clenched his fists. He just wanted to do well for the team here tonight. Here's another look.
Ed was... had Ed just come out? No, he hadn't come out of the pits. Ed was going really slow, and it's like
AJ reacted.
Exactly.
And lost it.
Maybe Ed was coming into the pits.
He was, guys. He was going to come in, and now that yellow hurt him. He's out of fuel, coasting.
Okay, so Allmendinger didn't realize Ed was pitting. And there was a lot of talk about this in the drivers' meeting because the IndyCar Series decided let's pit off at turn 4 for this race. A lot of drivers concerned about that very issue. How do I know if someone's going to come into the pits and all of a sudden I'm running up on them on the inside and they back out to pit? Remember, you have to start slowing these things down, not at the exit of turn 4 for pit lane, but you've got to start breathing in turn 3, especially on old tires. In fact, Tim Cindric from Team Penske, I thought, had a great suggestion, which was why not let the guys operate a rain light on the back straightaway to signal to the car behind, hey, I'm coming in. Normally they ask you to put your hand out, but I got to tell you, Wally, at 220 miles an hour, you put your hand out, your whole arm goes ripping out. It's hard to get even back in the car.
If you're wondering what Ed Carpenter was doing just there, he was completely out of fuel. Pits are closed. He said, well, I need some fuel just to keep getting around until they're open, come back for a proper stop once the pits are open.
Let's not forget the danger in running out of fuel at these speeds. You remember Ryan Hunter-Reay and the Mike Conway accident, running out of fuel at the Indy 500.
There's not, I mean, if that was the case, there's not a whole lot anybody can do when somebody runs out of gas and you're that close. You just react, and that's what AJ did, but got away from him.
While that was going on, Dixon pitted. That's the way to leave the pit box, right? It's nice when it's open and free in front of you. So our fourth full course caution. We've had 4 for 35 laps here tonight at Auto Club Speedway. And we have just 58 laps left in this 2013 season. Championship is still open. However, in the latter stages of this race, the power seems to be swinging Scott Dixon's way. He came in with a 25-point championship lead. It's been fluctuating all the time for the majority of this race. Actually, Elio Castroneves had his foot on the top step of the podium for the championship, but it swung back Dixon's way of late. Here's the man who's dominated this race. Will Power has led 71 laps here tonight.
He is expected to take a half turn of front wing, is Will Power. We see Kimball behind. That is now going to change their strategy. They were going to try and go longer, of course, but the caution now puts everyone on. There's the change for the front wing for Power. We watch also as Kimball does his service. Now, under caution, you definitely don't need to have everything quite as quick as under green. Both get the service done and back on their own cycle.
And Jan, that was a half turn out for the front wing on Will Power, suggesting that his balance was a little too neutral, a little too loose, and they were taking some front downforce out there. Robin, I think you've got an update for us.
Hey, Wally, you're spot on. John Erickson, who's calling the strategy for AJ Allmendinger, said that he was coming to the pits too, and he thinks Ed, obviously he's just slowed up. Well, he was running out of fuel, and he just, locked him up so he wouldn't hit him.
Yeah, like I said, when somebody runs out of fuel that close, you just react, and it looked like he reacted. And obviously, when you react going that fast, it's hard to save the race car.
And for everybody at home, when you run out of fuel, it's akin to shutting the ignition off on one of these cars. At over 200 miles an hour, the amount of deceleration is as if you slammed on the brakes. There's that much drag at those speeds.
The attrition rate has been high here tonight. Sato, Wilson, Newgarden, Jake, Servia, Vautier, Munoz, Saavedra. We add to that Allmendinger. Are we looking at the eyes of a champion, a 3-time champion, I should have said. MAVTV 500 is back racing. What a great sound. Let's do it. It's a heavily reduced field. It has been a crazy night with incidents and crashes, but there has been some just colossal racing. The guys and girls have really put on a good show tonight. And up front, Will Power, Scott Dixon, Charlie Kimball going at it. Do not discount the Fuzzies Chevrolet of Ed Carpenter. There he is there, the green, gold and white car. The car that has won the season-ending race the last 2 years in a row. The only owner-driver in this field could do it again.
Castroneves got a big run on Carpenter. Ed just drifted up the racetrack a little bit. Didn't give Elio enough room there, but boy, he sure has a good run on the high side.
Castroneves knows that it's essentially now or never, guys. He's got to finish first and second, as we know. He can't control what happens to Dixon, but he's decided, man, this is it. I've got to push, even if my car's loose. Look at Tagliani.
Up on the high side. I mean, that's the dirt we're talking about. I mean, and that stuff, like you said, Townsend, after the yellow, it just reappears.
Tagliani clearly decided it's now or never, and he's got his career in the balance.
If you thought Alex Tagliani was done, think again. He has put on a spectacular drive tonight.
He knows that this is his best chance in a long time to remind this paddock that he's still got it. He's been doing it a long, long time. But there's one thing about Tagliani. He is filled with passion to win, and he's a racer through and through.
At 40 years of age, he turned 40 just yesterday. And the window for Elio Castroneves is slowly closing, with Scott Dixon leading a lap Elio, again, just reminding you, has to finish first or second, but now he has to up that by getting bonus points by leading the most laps. And that challenge is becoming increasingly difficult because Power and Hunter Ray and Bourdais have led the lion's share of this race. Graham Rahal in the Midas car, cruising to the lane. And at this stage of the year, we always take a step back and have a big view of the year. It's been a tough one for Graham.
Oh yeah, it's been difficult. His confidence has been coming back though in his team and his setup. He's 2 laps down right now, but
he put on a great drive in Houston, I have to say.
Yeah,
24th to 7. That was a monstrous drive. So here's your order: Will Power, Scott Dixon, Charlie Kimball, Elio Castroneves, Alex Tagliani, Marco Andretti 6th, Tony Kanaan 7th, Simon Pagenaud, Bourdais and Carpenter has dropped to 10th. JR Hildebrand has worked his way back onto the lead lap. Good gutsy effort there. What's going on with Carpenter? He's going backwards faster than he's going anywhere. Andretti on the lane. 47 laps to go.
And Lee, this is what we've talked about all night long. I think the engine's finally going to let go for Marco Andretti. They made a wise move. They were 9th at that caution, came down pit road, restarted 12th. They put on 4 brand new tires. He immediately went to 6th, but once again, they had the overheating issue. You see them pulling, the engine cowling off. I think it's a done night for Marco Andretti.
and this is the one thing that the Ganassi team right now is watching, and I'm sure praying that they don't fall victim here. But as each car falls out, it becomes harder and harder for Castroneves to have any chance.
But so far, Dixon's guys have not said anything about temperature problems. So they've dodged that bullet so far because they've not had any problems.
But you know how it is, Wally. The temperature sort of just all of a sudden will start to creep, and then once it starts running, it can just get away from it. Yeah.
Yep.
But at this point, we effectively have 14 cars left in the race, with Simone Di Silvestro 4 laps down.
Carpenter's struggling.
Ed Carpenter's really hanging on.
Right of screen, Ganassi versus Penske. That's Charlie Kimball, Elio Castroneves. So Charlie playing the team game, doing a very good job at making life harder for Elio Castroneves to win this title away from his Ganassi teammate Scott Dixon. Kevin, what do you have?
Well, Lee will go through most anything to find the story, including digging through the trash. This is what they dumped out of the shop vac the last time around from Ed Carpenter's car. Here's part of a tear-off, lots of debris from the rubber, but that's been a real issue here at this point. And here we're taking a look, and it's just an old-fashioned garage shop vac getting in there into the radiator inlet to keep the engine from overheating. Carpenter is still an opportunity, still has a chance to get to the front in this race, but running out of time.
Yeah, we'll get her here in a few laps. I think our engine's going. If you think you're going to lose it, get down offline.
So we've now had 2 Hondas with Sato and Rahal, a Chevy with Andretti. We've seen Carpenter struggling on temperature control. At this point, guys, it's a bit of a game of Russian roulette, because all that stuff we saw coming out of Ed's car is in everybody else's car, Wally.
Yeah, except for the bottles. But yeah, all that stuff in the middle. It's amazing how much they pulled out of those radiators.
There we go, Elio Castroneves on Charlie Kimball. Kimball doesn't want to yield. Side by side. Oh, they almost touch, they almost touch.
What is Elio doing? Don't mess around there. You got to focus on winning this thing.
Elio's just telling Kimball, you better give me a little bit more room here, my friend.
At 220 miles an hour.
But Charlie's not one of those drivers. He's getting crowded a little bit, but Elio's got to look forward. He's got to finish first or second.
I think there's a little frustration in the 3 helmet.
He's surrounded by Ganassi drivers. Kimball in the front. Tagliani's gone! Alex Tagliani has spun!
Oh, no.
What a... that's too bad. He was having... What a
but
great run.
He'll be able to continue here, Wally. Unless he gets hit, he's going to be okay. He's going to have 4 flat tires from flat spotting him. He needs a front wing, but he'll be back out there if he can get going and stay on the lead lap.
I don't think he's going to make the lead lap, but...
Well, yellow's out, but man.
So the night ends not the way that Tags wanted to. Boy, he put on a spectacular drive. Elio Castroneves on pit road.
Drive through. Have to go through. Don't do anything. We'll just
Marty, what are you hearing?
And guys, what happened was Roger Penske said pit, pit. They did not know pit road was closed. Elio Castroneves will have to do a drive-through. This will be huge and might cost him a shot at the championship.
Sorry about that.
And you hear Roger Penske saying, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about that. Completely my fault.
Open. I'm sorry.
Wow. How fortunes have changed. One side to the other. It was Elio Castroneves who could do no wrong throughout the majority of this season, and it was Scott Dixon. Every time he stood up, he got smashed back down.
But can't you, you're supposed to kind of be paying attention to the light when you come down.
Listen, we're talking about Roger Penske here. When he comes on the radio, when that voice comes on the radio and says pit, you don't think, you follow orders.
Well, and guys, it was funny. Elio was asked that earlier this week, and that's exactly what he said, Townsend. He said, you know when he makes a call, you trust it, and I've always trusted him. So he wanted Roger Penske on the box for this race, and I don't think Elio would change that right now anyway.
Well, and I'm sure it's the urgency of Roger Penske thinking, you know, the instinct is we got to do something big here, pit now, you know, and he's thinking about how do we put ourselves with any chance here with our backs up against the wall to leapfrog. But, you know, of course, again, they need Dixon to have issues.
Pits are now open. Let's kick things off with Jan Beekes. Jan?
And for Willpower on the top of the screen, they are expected to not make changes, even though he's been saying the car has a little bit of push. They're hesitant about putting more front wing into that car. For Scott Dixon, they're not going to make changes. They're going to try and clear out the radiators and just do fuel and tires. So we watch Power on the top as his service has already started, and we're in Dixon's pit kicking an idea, and now Castroneves into his position. Marty?
Bottom of the screen, Elio Castroneves. If there is good news, there's only 11 cars on the lead lap, so they can take their time here coming off pit road. All those cars go by him. He asked, do you want any changes? Roger Penske said, do you want any changes to the car? He said, no, leave it alone. And then once they had the penalty and they came down pit road, he said, I'm going to need a little front wing now. Got to make his way through the field, but can he make it from 11th back to the lead, guys?
The task of being champion when it looked like it was has become increasingly difficult. What must that man be thinking? The captain, Roger Penske.
Well,
he's seen it all, he's been through it all, and it has not, for some reason, for whatever reason, every year for now, this is the 5th year in a row, Team Penske has come in with a shot of winning this IndyCar title. And for the last 4, it has evaporated. It's gone away.
He's sitting at 9th spot. I mean, it's not like he's a lap down or anything, guys. Right. I mean, we still got a lot of laps in this race, and if his car's if he's as good as what he thinks he is right now, he's going to be able to carve his way through here. So
I'm wondering if the more yellows we run, the more debris these guys, you know, are picking up, because that last restart, and the guys coming on pit lane off the yellow, I mean, the amount of dust, well, it seems like it's getting worse.
Here's where I think you're picking up a lot of the debris, and that's on that apron. Every time you make a pit stop and you come down out of that apron, all the there's so much garbage on these aprons of these racetracks, and I bet that's where they're getting most of it.
I think you're right. Remember in the drivers' meeting when guys were talking about all the stuff on the apron for, you know, when they were making pit stops?
Yeah.
And guys, think of the savvy of Elio Castroneves to now realize, okay, I'm going to restart in 9th. There originally were 11 cars in the lead lap. They're now going to restart in 9th. And I'm going to need a bit of a different adjustment. So he said that coming down pit road. Now I'm going to need that front wing, guys, because it's going to be much different coming through traffic rather than restarting 2nd.
Can you believe the attrition rate in this race? We've lost almost half the field. Alex Tagliani, the most recent, Graham Rahal, AJ Allmendinger, Sato, Wilson, Newgarden, Jake, Servia, Vautier, Munoz, Saavedra, and Pippa Mann.
I can remember a kart race here. I want to say it was in the year 2000 when 9 cars finished, and they were popping, back then they were popping turbos.
Quite extraordinary. And as we see,
we're going to get you tires and we're going to go.
The 2 Andretti Autosport cars come to pit road. The teammates to finish this season off with the amount of cars left in this race.
And look, Lee, Hunter Ray, big issue there. They're in there with the air hose digging away.
They too, Townsend, trying to clean out the radiator as best they can. They're having overheating issues. And look at this. This is what came out of Marco Andretti's radiator when they pulled all this stuff out. Look at that. There's some grill screen there. There's a tear off, a couple of things. This was in Marco Andretti's radiator. Some wire, a little bit of everything. That was inside the radiator, and that's what was overheating that 25 car all evening long. That's unbelievable. That amount of debris, that size of debris in the radiator blocking it.
Ready to go, ready to go. The boys are anxious. Let's do it. One more time. Final 36 laps. Willpower at the front. Here comes Charlie Kimball. Right around the outside.
And look at Castroneves up on the high side. Like I said, guys, don't count him out yet. He just passed 3 cars on that restart.
So with the bonus points gone, it comes down to this. It's as simple as this. The blue, white, and red car up on the high side. Elio Castroneves needs to win this race to win the championship. Can he do it?
Well, we know he can.
Squeeze there.
But he's got a bunch of cars left in this race that all think they can win tonight.
Dixon to the inside. Dixon goes down low on willpower and takes the lead of the race.
That was a gutsy move.
And says to Elio Castroneves, if you're going to beat me for the title, you've got to beat me in the race first. There's Emma, that's Scott's wife. She's feeling the pressure. Anxious times with 34 to go, and Castroneves has come from last to third, just like that. There may not be many cars left, but boy, they're putting on a show.
These guys are all on new tires. There is dust everywhere on the track, and they are sliding all over.
Here comes Elio. Three wide, and Castroneves is putting his foot down, saying, I want this championship. It's not over yet.
And I don't think Charlie Kimball wants to be there at the moment with these two guys going at it. He is stuck inside.
And just like that, from last to first, for the moment, Castroneves sees a clear track ahead.
Here comes Carpenter up on the high side. We talked about him a little bit earlier. He's trying to take third spot away.
Hinchcliffe just got a big washout behind Dixon, and he hasn't lifted.
Can you believe the twists and turns of this race and this championship tonight in California? This would be something to win it this way. With the only option of winning it, victory, Castroneves can still do it.
Still there.
These two have been having a good fight tonight.
Charlie Kimball, a teammate of Scott Dixon, pushing back forward to the front. And if I'm Charlie, if I want to help Scott, I'm going to take the high line into turn 1, but he goes low. If I go to the high line, I know that forces Castroneves down to that tighter inside line. And Kimball's driving the middle of the track, which forces Castroneves to drive the long way around. Whoa! Hinchcliffe into the fence, a little bit of brush, and he's driving Bourdais all the way down to the inside.
And Bourdais waves his fist at him at 220 miles an hour. They are turning it on for the final 31 laps of this season. What a race. And Kimball trying to be the ultimate team man and teammate to Dixon. The 3-car team is down to 2 with Tagliani crashing out. Dixon's high now. Bourdais has been fired up for a long time. He wants to finish on a high before he farewells his Dragon team.
Yeah, Kimball's car is really good in the dead center of the corner. Castroneves going to try it on the bottom. He said, hey, I can't make it happen up top. A little bit loose, little bit. I don't know if he lifted.
That is a championship. That is a championship set of hands there. Flat on the throttle. I'm not lifted. I'm going to steer it. And we've seen so many people tonight get in trouble on that low line, especially as the tires wear out.
And how about the Californian Charlie Kimball leading this race? And now we see Castroneves and Dixon together while Bourdais slots into second spot.
And right behind Dixon, we got two guys very squirrely. We've got Hinchcliffe and Carpenter, who have been all over the place trying to get to the front.
And guys, this is where Dixon's really got to be smart. You know, he's right in the middle of these guys fighting like hornets. He doesn't need to be here to win this championship. I mean, you're really putting yourself in a really dangerous position here.
Dixon in the red car, the Target Chip Ganassi entry running 5th at the moment. Sebastian Bourdais has pushed the McAfee entry to the front. He and Kimball now go at it with 28 to go.
Outside look.
If Sebastian Bourdais could pull off a victory here, we would hit a special number. 11 different winners in a single season. That would tie the record in open wheel racing for the most variety of winners in a single season. That shows you what a wonderful year 2013 has been for IndyCar.
And some question with that Dragon Racing team where they end up next year. I promise you, Jay Penske down on pit lane cheering his guy on. They've got to be loving this.
And guys, back there, Elio Castroneves battling with James Hinchcliffe, trying to hold on to third, and he will not. He said the car has gone extremely loose. Roger Penske reminded him, use your weight, Jacker, inside the car, trying to make it better, trying to cling to any hope of winning this title.
Marty, I think Castroneves has front wing damage. His right front end fence is down. He's had contact with something, I think. You can see it angled.
Oh, big time.
Yep.
Charlie Kimball with a little wiggle. He goes high and he rounds up Sebastian Bourdais.
Got a broken front wing. Yeah, I got a broken front wing.
That's the report to Elio Castroneves.
And Castroneves is dropping quickly on pace as that front wing works itself loose.
The call is to pit this time for Elio Castroneves.
Oh, I don't know how he's hanging on to that thing the way it is.
Oh.
That car is extremely loose.
Fuel and tires.
He's all over the place. And this will most likely put Castroneves
a lap down.
A lap down at least.
For those of you turning on to watch soccer, stay with us. It'll be coming up right after we are done here from Auto Club Speedway Fontana, the championship finale, the decider, the fight between Scott Dixon and the driver on the left of your screen, Elio Castroneves. When the Brazilian has needed it to go his way, it has not, Marty.
Well, and this will likely end the run at the championship for Elio Castroneves. He led the championship for so much of the season, had such high hopes until the huge swing at Houston. 74 points. They take the front wing off. You can see that damage clearly on the left front, almost on the ground. They get the new front wing on. They will take on tires here. The leaders flash by. That means he definitely does go down a lap. Elio Castroneves seeing the championship slip away, Lee.
Marty, we never saw contact, specific contact with anything or anybody, but this is the view that Elio had. Check this out. Look forward.
Yeah, it's already down.
I mean, the way those guys were squirreling around and battling each other, you'd have to think there was contact at some point, but you never know. Maybe it was just a failure.
3 wide and Will Power. He wants to finish with 3 wins in the last 5 races of the season.
3 wide on the bottom.
Oh, Kimball's getting squeezed. Charlie Kimball in the middle. The green car in the background, James Hinchcliffe. He's having a good strong drive tonight, and it's the farewell drive in the GoDaddy machine. GoDaddy farewelling the series and Andretti Autosport. However, the good news revealed today is that Hinchcliffe will be back.
Look at how good he is in the center. Oh. I mean, his car, Charlie Kimball's car, is so strong in the center, and he's got a lot of confidence in that car to be in the middle that last time and just hung there.
Talk about confidence, Wally. How about Will Power down the inside lane?
Yeah, but Charlie's just so good.
Dixon's on
Scott
pit
Dixon.
Lane. What's the story?
Could there be a temperature issue?
On the last pit stop, they pulled out a radiator screen and they thought everything was fine.
Whoa!
But obviously, had a crash on the track.
Bourdais, our race leader, fighting it out with Will Power and Charlie Kimball. Look at the look on Scott Dixon's face.
Oh my gosh. And to think Castroneves was on the lead lap with Dixon pitting there.
I don't think Dixon lost a lap, did he?
No.
Did he not?
No, that helped him.
It's hard to believe.
That helped him.
He has had some yellows fall his way. Jan?
And as you suspected, it was heat related. They had to get into the radiators. All of a sudden, it started to overheat. On the previous pit stop, they were able to remove the screens and thought everything was A-OK. But Dixon picking up debris, overheating, and had to make that stop. I wonder, when he left the pit lane, the pace car was down on the bottom. That obviously was the deciding factor for going a lap down. I wonder how they'll rule on that one.
Let's have a look at what happened to Sebastian Bourdais as he steps from the car. This is from Charlie Kimball. There's Bourdais on the left, on the far left. Oh!
That was weird. That looked like a failure on the right rear. Very strange.
Did he contact Will Power?
Something broke.
It just went too.
It's just you would never give that kind of steering input on a straightaway. I'm looking at the right rear, perhaps left front.
There's Jay Penske. Watch for the reaction. His man had driven so well tonight. And there is Sebastian Bourdais, a 4-time champion. Boy, this is a case of last man standing to finish the season. Jan?
Will Power making his way in, but we believe that Scott Dixon is also going to be coming in because they may not have resolved that issue. So we're having pit stops here for tire and fuel, obviously, so that you can have the most competitive when there's not that many cars on the lead lap. Why not come down and get tires when you have caution? But I do believe that the issue for Scott Dixon may not yet be resolved. They have tires out. They're still thinking about providing more service.
We talked about earlier, guys, once the temperature does go up on these things, even if you get it cleaned, it's so, the damage has kind of been done on the engine stuff. So we've got 20 laps left. Dixon's got a long way to go if he's got heating problems.
His rival, Elio Castroneves, is no longer on the lead lap. This is a fight of survival. Can Dixon hang in there? Will his engine hang in there? This is far from over, folks. Far from decided.
There we see the left front.
Both these guys, both sides. Oh, they both one on the right side.
On the left rear, he's got the wand. Air hose wand getting deep inside those cowlings, trying to blow out anything and everything.
Another trip down the lane.
I think you're right, Jan. Might as well take tires.
I agree.
We're going to do tires on this one.
And there's the confirmation on the radio from Mike Hull. So we may not expect to see them dive in on the radiators again. It may just be a case of wanting to have fresh tires and see how the work on the previous clearing worked.
They've got that air wand back there.
Still trying to blow out some more, as you say, Townsend. Giving another look just to be sure.
They're still pulling some stuff out of it. Look at that rubber.
Rubber, yeah.
Rubber's coming out. But the deal on the tires here is, that's the security play, which is give them fresh rubber, spend plenty of time on pit lane under yellow, as much as you need, as long as you don't go a lap down, and just bring this championship home.
You want to go easy going out. We're ready. Just take your time. Very good.
And these cars, these things look like they've been through Star Wars. The helmets are pitted. There's debris everywhere.
Yesterday, yeah, you can see the all the pit marks around. Look above Dixon's head.
And another thing to think about is your line of sight here is right through this windscreen, and that gets the worst. And there's no tear-offs on those windscreens, and that's what you look through. So you can see how Dixon's head is sort of cocked back. It wouldn't surprise me that he's just trying to see over the windscreen, which has become completely opaque.
Remember going down, take a look at the cars yesterday after practice and qualifying. It was only the first 2 sessions of the weekend, and around the side pods of the cars in the front, it was kind of being sandblasted. Charlie Kimball is one of the drivers eligible to score points for the Manufacturers' Championship race, and he is powered by Honda. That could help Honda secure that championship. On the Chevy side of things, Will Power can do it. Let's not forget, this man has had the year of his career in the IZOD IndyCar Series, and it came to a massive highlight. The high point was working a different strategy, rolling the dice, and some terrific driving to call himself an IndyCar race winner. That was at Mid-Ohio earlier this year. Really special time. One of our 10 different winners this year. So we're under our 6th full course caution. Almost 50 laps of this race, of this 250 lap race, have been under yellow. It has been a race punctuated by those yellows, and boy, has it been a wild one.
And I can tell you, these drivers, as long as this night has been, mentally, you're going to be exhausted, Wally, because you're on just a knife edge the whole night, having trouble seeing.
Especially the way that, like you said, the way these cars have been driving. It's a long night for these guys.
Ed Carpenter coming down pit lane. They really wrestled whether to do this. First they said, I want to pit because I want to be able to trim and make the car faster, but I don't want to lose track position. Ultimately, they decided to do it. You see a front wing adjustment coming as well to trim the car. They think it's going to be a rocket ship here. Can Ed Carpenter win here for the second year in a row?
I think that's a fairly good call, Kevin. I mean, track position, there's only 7 cars, I think, on the lead lap, and they have good tires.
The last 5 feet of Ed Carpenter coming to a stop, did you see the left side radiator just dump rubber? Yeah. I mean, just the load of the G-force of braking on pit lane.
Hey boys, how cool would it be if J.R. Hildebrand pulled this off? He got a drive-through penalty because he just overshot his pit box, so that was what his penalty was. We remember what happened at Indy in 2011. He was 1 corner away from winning the Indy 500. But I think what's really cool is he's trying to get a job next year, and he showed that he had the talent to do it. It's just trying to get an opportunity. I was just talking to Steve Newey, the co-owner, and he said, "Hey, we can still win this thing."
And if there's a team that's capable of the Cinderella story, it's Brian Herta Racing. Of course, won the Indy 500 with Dan Weldon in 2011. And they did so on the back of a one-off appearance, running a third car really in partnership with Sam Schmidt, and just an absolute Cinderella finish. And don't forget that Hildebrand was going around Charlie Kimball at the Indy 500 when he crashed on the final corner of the last lap. And who's in front of him right now? Charlie Kimball.
Well, I sure like these guys that have new tires, though.
Ready to go back.
I mean, because like I said, there's not that many cars down the lead lap. Well, if you got fresh tires, that's going to be huge right now.
Yeah, with 15 to go, you can be all over that low line, which we know is faster if the car will hold.
Again, reminding you who have turned on to watch the Barclays English Premier League match of the day, stay with us, hang in there. As soon as we're finished here at Auto Club Speedway, that'll be coming your way.
So the first guy that got the fresh tires in line is Power, correct?
Correct.
And if the last restart was any indication, this should be out of control.
Yeah, look out. Let's go. Charlie Kimball's at the front. Power is in the draft of J.R. Hildebrand, but not for too much longer. Final 14 laps of the 2013 season.
And look at that, Wally, the guy with new tires right to the low line, and he's going to whistle by.
Yeah. Power has been the pace man this weekend at Auto Club Speedway Fontana.
Kimball and Hildebrand were just sitting ducks there on those tires.
Kanaan has moved into second spot. James Hinchcliffe in the GoDaddy machine for Andretti Autosports, being hounded by Ed Carpenter. The fuzzy Chevrolet has a shot, and Hinch makes it a little tough on him.
And there's a little bag of $250,000 for Tony Kanaan, and Charlie Kimball has lost, it looks like, an engine.
Caution's out.
And this Fontana track has just been relentless on motors tonight.
Oh, and J.R. Hildebrand. What has happened to the Barracuda racing man? Boy, oh boy, this is last man standing, I'm telling you. They are dropping everywhere. With this, Elio might win it because he might be the only man running at the end.
Well, listen, if he does, and Dixon has an issue in the last 11 laps here, then it can come out of nowhere, clearly. Yeah. I mean, look at these two guys, Hildebrand and Kimball. I mean, Dixon's got to be thinking to himself, are you kidding me after all this?
So there's 2 Penske cars left on track, only 1 Ganassi car, and that is Scott Dixon. The night is done for Charlie Kimball, but what a drive. He hung tough with the big boys tonight.
He had a good run tonight. Yeah. He had a great car, and
I really feel like this season Charlie Kimball sort of raised that what used to be the Ganassi B team to the Ganassi team.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's just he really solidified himself and that whole program as an integral part of the whole operation, and it's been a strong season. He's demonstrated over and above that he belongs here and that he's a force to be reckoned with.
Mid-Ohio was a very popular win.
Mid-Ohio was great. And because he did it on performance. He did it by being the fastest guy that day.
He and his engineer, Brad Goldberg, have a wonderful relationship. They speak the same language. They get on very well. However, it's out of their hands tonight. Team say, well done, Charlie. You had us excited there for a long time. A really good run. 50th career start tonight, incidentally, for Charlie Kimball. As Tom Wirtz says, nice one. Nice one. Sorry that it's ended prematurely. So, 2 Penske's, 1 Ganassi. We've got a Penske car leading the race. But it's not the one that needs to be leading the race to win this championship. Elio Castroneves.
And Dixon's guys are laid out here, looks like with fresh tires, and you got to figure, well, why not?
Why not?
This is insurance policy right here.
Absolutely.
Not only are they going with new tires, but they are working on their air hoses and the wands to be sure they could blow out everything they could get their hands on in the radiator ducts.
Now look who else is pitting right in front of them. I don't know if that's an insurance policy, guys.
Penske guys are out. Ready for Elio Castroneves.
Whoa!
They called him off.
Castroneves was committed.
And that was a last-second call by Roger Penske. He said, stay out, stay out.
Now,
pits are closed right now. Is that correct, guys?
Hang on a second, because I believe if in the driver's meeting, if you were below the dotted line, you were committed. So
Hey, Roger just said, you told me the pits were closed.
Yeah.
I think he probably didn't. I think he called it off because he thought the pits were closed.
In this time for tires.
Yeah.
Jan?
Charlie Kimball has climbed from the car, and we just heard from your team, this did not overheat. You didn't have overheating problems. It just let go.
Yeah, it sounds like some sort of catastrophic failure at some point. Temperature was fine. Every yellow we were trying to run in clean air and keep it cool, and I kept looking at the numbers. The guys were looking at the numbers. We didn't have any problems. I mean, it's frustrating because we were up front. I got a good restart that last one. It just, as soon as it started to go through the middle of 1 and 2, I guess, on the first lap, it started to miss a little bit, and I thought, that's an ugly sound coming.
What about your confidence? Because that was some fantastic racing. You were stuck in the middle. You had people rubbing you on either side. That had to be thrilling.
It was pretty exciting. You know, I wish some of the guys had learned that oval racing's not a non-contact sport, but other than that, we had a great car. The Novolog FlexPen crew did a great job in the pit lane. I'm really proud of those guys. They've worked hard all year, made some big progress. Getting the win at Mid-Ohio, I think we're in line to get it again today.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Here come the pit stops, Marty.
Our championship players will pit. Elio Castroneves, Scott Dixon right behind him. They'll both take on tires. This should be a fun run to the end to see who has the advantage. Roger Penske saying, watch me, Elio Castroneves. He'll beat Dixon off pit road, but you see Dixon's team once again cleaning that radiator, making sure they get it as clean as possible for this final green flag run.
Now, don't forget, Elio's a lap down.
So it's going to be a shootout to the end.
He's a lap down in 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So once things are ready to go, once race control says we're good to go and restart this, it's just a shootout to the end. However, we won't have our top 2 in the championship fighting it out on track as much as we would like, with Castroneves being a lap down. But he's close to the front to get that lap back with the few cars we've got left running as we go back to racing. Tony Kanaan is in the mix. Remember that bonus $250,000 as part of the Fuzzy's Triple Crown. The Indy 500, the Pocono 400, and this, the MAVTV 500. Talking about Kanaan in 3rd place.
Tony Kanaan driving for $250 grand. Ed Carpenter trying to save his sponsor $250 grand. What's going to happen here? Ed got a heck of a start there on that last restart. He was poking his nose out there inside of Kanaan and just flat jumped him.
Another storyline unfolding. is that all of the eligible Hondas to earn points for their manufacturer are out of this race. Wow. That manufacturer's title is going to go Chevrolet's way. And up front, it's Chevy, Chevy, Chevy.
Whoa, look at Ed.
Whoa, hold on to it, Ed Carpenter.
Yeah, I was surprised because he went down to the bottom of the racetrack. That's normally not where he's been running tonight. He seems to have been liking the high line, and boy, he did a nice job saving that thing.
I have had more, oh my gosh, moments following Ed Carpenter in my career than any other driver, and he tends to hang on more of them.
He has got a great feel on these
He really
ovals.
does. Don't forget, he grew up sliding sideways in sprint cars, so it doesn't seem to faze him very much.
He and Canaan going at it. Hinchcliffe has arrived on the scene. Meanwhile, Will Power is just skipping away. There he is.
And those seams that we talked about earlier in the race appear to have become less of an issue for these guys, or at least they're fearless about running over them. They are using every inch of the track, left, right, high, low, mid.
And for the majority of this season, you know how crazy tonight's been? Because for the majority of the season, Will Powers just shrugged his shoulders and said, well, I know that I'm no longer a championship contender. I'm just so far back. Do you know if they finish as they are and Power wins this race, he finishes only 79 points out of the championship in 4th place.
Amazing.
In
Carpenter is running a really strange line. I mean, he gets down there and it looks like the car gets loose in the middle and he's just chasing it all the way up the racetrack.
Final few laps of this race, of this season, which has been one to remember.
And Wally, you're right. He gets in there. He goes in about the 3rd lane up, but it starts to get away from him, and he has to get up on that seam.
Yeah,
the car's sliding.
Watch him here.
He's
he goes
running
down the
road.
bottom, and it looks like it's loose right here, and then he goes climbing up the racetrack.
Seam, across the 2nd seam.
Yep.
But
it's working for him.
I'll tell you who I don't want to be is Tony Kanaan, because I'm watching it going, how do I go around this guy? He's all over the place.
Power with a 1.5 second lead over Ed Carpenter and Tony Kanaan. Hinchcliffe and Dixon. They are the only cars on the lead lap in this race. The championship is going away for Elio Castroneves when he looked so strong to have this with 3 laps to go in California.
And Power saying to himself, why couldn't this be last year?
And the year before, and the year before. Yeah, he has been, this man here has been the class of the field all weekend. The pole position laps that he did were just mesmerizing. He was a cut above from practice to qualifying, and he has just looked rock solid in this race.
And to think back to where we were at Sonoma, guys, when the pit lane incident happened with Dixon, and we thought, oh boy, we might have watched the championship go up in smoke. And to be here now and see Castroneves having the championship slip away from him, it just shows in this series, anything's possible. It's just an amazing comeback.
One more. Keep going.
Scott Dixon on the left of your screen. Final lap of this season. In 2003, Scott Dixon was crowned champion. In 2008, as he takes the white flag, he was crowned champion. That was 5 years. It's been 5 years since then. Every 5 years, this man drives to a championship in the IndyCar series.
And look at him 150 mile per hour lap. 205.
Okay.
Leaders are at 215, and he had a big lift there and won. He can coast home and win the championship.
3rd win of the year for Penske's Will Power. It's the team's first win at the track that the captain built, but we're waiting for our champion. 33-year-old New Zealander Scott Dixon for Target Chip Ganassi Racing is your champion. Dixon does it for the 3rd time in his career. Scotty D is the man.
That's a relieved man right there.
Everybody up. Spare a thought for his teammate sitting at home. Dario Franchitti will be clapping and cheering. As a 4-time champ, his good friend and teammate is now a 3-time champion.
Hey, hell of a job, boys. Thank you, thank you.
A guy who has won championships in every category he's contested. There was a consortium of New Zealand businessmen who got together. They saw the potential in this young man years and years ago and sent him off to America from New Zealand and Australia. And they would be sitting back in New Zealand very, very pleased with what they did all those years ago. Chip Ganassi's man is a 3-time champion. IndyCar's Iceman has done it again.
And you can tell it in his voice, you know. He's not a guy coming on that's going to scream, going to be in tears. He's just going to say, yep, good job, boys. That's what we do.
Such a long fight this year. I think he's just so relieved that it's over.
And look at that car. It's just worked. There's paint missing on the headrest. There's rubber and sand, and it's been a battle.
Scott Dixon unstrapping. When he climbs out, he can begin the celebration for the third time a champion in IndyCar. Scott Dixon pilots the number 9 Target Chip Ganassi to a 5th place finish, and he wins the championship by 27 points. 2003 as a youngster, 2008, and again here in 2013. Scott, you had to survive this one. What were you dealing with late in the race to trying to make sure you made it to the finish?
That was a crazy day. You know, we started back, you know, the car we had to work on a fair bit through the race, but, you know, just huge credit to Team Target. They played everything straight tonight. You know, we had to work on a bit of strategy. We had to work on the car a lot, and then we had the issue with some overheating problems towards the end. And I still can't believe that we've actually won the championship. This is fantastic. So many people to thank, man. It's just unbelievable.
Well, you have those 2 titles, but you finished the runner-up 2 times, and then 4 other times have been within reach. 6 times you've come close and come up short. So what does this mean to get it done again?
Well, I guess the 5-year thing did play out, but it just means so much, you know, that how competitive everybody is in this series, and to, you know, the trials and tribulations that we had to fight through this year. But you know, big love to Emma, all my family back home, everybody in England, you know, my sisters and everybody. You know, Chip, I'm sure is going to have a smile. You know, it's been a hard year on a lot of people, and this makes it just that little bit better. But huge thanks to all the fans. Without you guys, we couldn't do what we do, and you know, this is huge. I hope Target's happy. That was big.
Also in 2008, you battled Elio Castroneves at one point in that race as the point stand. You were out of the championship at one point in this race. He was leading. You were back around 10th or 11th. Did you ever have any big concerns at any point?
Yeah, you know, I think when he was leading and we were kind of mid-pack, you know, we were definitely, you know, not so much worried, just kind of, you know, waiting for the race to play out. I knew we had a pretty good car once we'd made a few changes. There was one restart early on that was just, yeah, I see Emma running. She's good at that. You know, you know, we knew we could get there. It was just that restart was, you know, I think we went from like, what, 5th or 6th to about 15th. It seemed like everybody jumped the start on that one. But, you know, you go through those worried parts throughout the race, and as it, you know, unfolds, you know, things for us got a little bit better tonight. And then I didn't even know that that Elio had pitted and gone a lap down. And then once I saw that on the board and you know, the team told me, that gave us a better window for this overheating issue. So congrats to Will. That car was amazingly fast tonight, and he drove a hell of a race, so congrats to him.
Anything you want to say to your teammate and your friend Dario Franchitti watching at home?
Yes, I do. Dario, you know, a lot of this to you. It's been you know, it's been a crazy year, and I just hope you get well soon. You're back in the car soon, and we can come back out here and have another crack at it next year. But Dario, thanks, man. Thanks for all the help that you've given us this year, and I hope you're not asleep. You might have fallen asleep on some of those drugs back there.
All right, Emma's a good thing she's a long-distance runner. She'll be here in just a moment. We'll talk to you again in a few minutes. Congratulations, champ.
Thank you.
Scott Dixon, your 2013 champion. And champion, now we have an opportunity for Will Power, who's a bit wobbly, trying to make the leap, but this has been a long 500-mile run for Will Power. We talked about the fact about how this was an opportunity for you without pressure to exercise some demons. It looks like you got it done.
It's the most satisfying win of my life. Like, that is the most satisfying thing I've ever done. And I wanted to do it so badly all year. And I knew in the early ovals, I just was kind of conservative because I just want to finish every lap. And this time I'm going for it. You know, it's the end of, it's funny that Ed and I were battling because I read a comment that he said in an article, and he said everyone did what Will Power expected last year at this race, and I thought I want to beat that guy, and I was battling him. I respect him, but that comment disappointed me, and it gave me a lot of motivation.
And you turn that motivation. How much motivation did it take when you had a visor that you couldn't see through getting tear-offs off that visor?
Yeah, I knew we had a very quick car, and I didn't care. I said, let's just fix this, and we can win this. You know, I just, most satisfying thing, I'm so stoked for Verizon, and a great way to end the season.
Wow, that is one emotional Will Power. Definitely feels as though vindication is now his.
Look at that. I don't think I've seen Will ever react like that. He's not a happy guy. And there's a big kiss. He got a kiss from his wife Liz last year, but it was to say, sorry, I can't believe what's happened to you. And now it's for a lot better reason. Boy, what a race. What a race. What an event. And Emma Dixon is reliving it as well, the wife of Scott Dixon, our three-time and newly crowned champion. In the end, it was 27 points the difference for Elio Castroneves, who must be thinking, what do I have to do to win this thing? Simon Pagenaud maintained his third spot, and Will Power just rockets. 2 races ago, he was outside the top 10.
Well, and to think how fast Will Power is on street and road courses, and to see the relief on his face, really more than anything, it's relief to know now I can win on an oval.
Yeah.
I can hang on where others are making mistakes.
Yeah.
What does that mean for next season in terms of his ability to come back now and maybe string the whole thing together in such dominant fashion?
What a great year as far as championship goes. There's been so ups and downs, and you know, it was just really amazing, and it comes down to the last race every year, which is incredible.
3 of the 4 Andretti Autosport cars in the top 8 of the championship. And how about Charlie Kimball? We were heaping praise on him. He finishes in 9th. That is a career best for him. That was the face and the reaction of Emma Davies Dixon, Scott's wife, when he crossed the line. He's the man, the 3-time champ. Back in California, and the people lined up to talk to Scott Dixon is long, and he's going to be chatting and interviewing and celebrating for a long time to come. 3 times a champion. Pretty amazing. And that 5-year interval, even more interesting. All right, well, there's the man who put up a very valiant fight. Let's hear from Elio Castroneves.
Well, Elio, for the 3rd time, and even more times when you've been within reach, you come this close. How do you deal with this?
Normal. We did an excellent job. The team, I'm so proud of these boys. Team Penske did a hell of a job. Honored to be part of this organization, you know, and well, that's the good news. We got a next year, 2014, and but we fought hard. We definitely pushed as hard as we could this last race. I had tons of fun out there, and but again, I want to thank the guy that cleans the floor in the shop, through the Roger and everyone else and all the partners, because without all this combination, everybody working together, we wouldn't be able to be where we are. So proud of Team Penske. So honored again to start next year, and congrats obviously to Ganassi and Scott. They fought hard. They did a great job. Unfortunately, one race for us that, or one weekend for us that went bad, ended up costing the championship.
And as you said, the Houston weekend wasn't your mistake. It was mechanical issues, and you were doing everything you could. You were leading the race. You had to win the race. But this was wild. Just surviving was something.
Yeah, that was the 500 miles. It's amazing because, wow, I mean, normally 500 miles towards to the end, it's a little calm, and there was nothing calm about that. But as I said, the team did a great job. It's a shame that we got in contact with the 83. You know, I knew he wouldn't give it an inch. It was a little bit of hard fought, even with Tagliani. But hey, I knew coming this weekend we were going to fight hard. I knew that they knew that. And again, I hope the fans had a great time. I had a great time. So thanks NBC. Thanks all the partners again. So I'll see you guys next year. Hopefully we make it happen.
It may have came up short in the championship, but I think he feels pretty good about 3 Indianapolis 500 wins. We'll see you next season.
Appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
And it was, if you kind of scratch Houston off the list, it was a remarkable season for Elio. It was one where he gave us plenty of high points to talk about. And there you have the unofficial results. A really good one for Will Power. And Ed Carpenter almost had the three-peat, didn't he? Tony Kanaan finishing on the podium. But the man we're talking about all night long is a 3-time champion, Scott Dixon. He joins the likes of Rick Mears and Bobby Rahal, Alan Senior as 3-time champions. He's in some rarefied air now as we roll through the results of a field that was just eaten up with a massive attrition rate. Crashes and retirements, mechanicals, we had it all here at Auto Club Speedway tonight. More celebrations when we come back. We've crowned an IndyCar Series champion for the 3rd time with Scott Dixon. Is this young man, the 26-year-old German Sebastian Vettel, going to clinch his 4th Formula One world title next weekend in India? More than likely. The odds are in his favor to achieve something that only 2 other men have done in the history of Formula One, and that is to win 4 consecutive drivers' world titles. Quite incredible. So we've finished IndyCar for the year, but we've still got 4 Formula One Grand Prix to go here on your home of open wheel racing. India next weekend, Abu Dhabi the following weekend, then there's a weekend free, and then we finish it up with the United States Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. Can't wait for that. And then Brazil. Still plenty of action to come in the F1 world. It's time to celebrate here in California. We join Marty Snyder.
And Lee, it's time to hand out some hardware from the 2013 IZOD IndyCar Series season. Of course, it was a spirited battle on the track, especially between the manufacturers. Both Honda and Chevrolet duked it out all season long. It came down to tonight's final race, in fact, the final few laps. But Chevrolet is your 2013 IZOD IndyCar Series Manufacturer Championship. And here to accept that award from Chevrolet is Jim Campbell. Jim, come on out. Congratulations on a great season, Jim. You and I were talking earlier. You love competition, but that was a little close with your friends from Honda, wasn't it?
I will tell you, the racing tonight was phenomenal. What did you guys think of that racing? Absolutely incredible. So listen, on behalf of everybody at Chevrolet, I really want to thank our team owners, our drivers from the Chevrolet teams. They contributed valuable manufacturer points to make this possible. Also, a big thank you to our Chevrolet powertrain engineers and our partners from Ilmor, Pratt & Miller, and Hitachi. We couldn't have done it without them. And then finally, a big thank you to our Chevrolet owners who cheered us on all over the country, all over the world. We couldn't have done it without them, and we love IndyCar racing. Thanks very much.
Congratulations on a fantastic season. We'll see you in 2014, okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Jim Miller from Chevrolet, everyone, as he'll exit stage right. Of course, the IZOD IndyCar Series season is one of the toughest in the world of motorsports. You have, street courses, you have road courses, you have long ovals and short ovals. It is a grueling championship and one of the most coveted in the world. And this is what they've been after, the Astor Cup. It has every open wheel champion on it since 1909. They duked it out for 19 races this year, trying to decide who would take this home. How about we bring out the man who's the latest to add his name to this championship trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, from New Zealand, your 2013 IZOD IndyCar Series world champion, Scott Dixon. Congratulations, Dixie. Were there at times this season you thought this may never happen? You told me at times this team was maybe a little bit lost.
Mid-year, I did not think we had a chance of doing this, and it all turned around in Pocono, and that was, when I saw Chip for the first time, first person out of the car, I'm like, man, I did not think we would be sitting in victory lane at Pocono.
Yeah.
And for the comeback that we had this year, the ups and downs that we had, you got to thank everybody at Team Target, for sticking in and making sure that we could make a comeback that I never thought was possible, but we dug deep and made it happen.
You couldn't do this without your boss men. So let's bring out our champion owners, Mr. Chip Ganassi and Mike Hull as well, the man who calls the shots for Scott Dixon on a weekly basis. Great job this year, Mike. Chip. How about this season for you guys? Were there times where you thought this may not happen? The guys really had to come together.
Well, certainly. We had a mid-year, like Scott said. We were down and we were behind, and I got to hand it to Honda. They stepped up, and when it was time to make a move, they made the move and helped us win the Drivers' Championship. No question. Couldn't have done it without them. That simple.
I know these guys want to have this trophy, but in order to hand that out, we're going to bring out the CEO of IndyCar, Mr. Mark Miles, to hand out the Astor Cup. Mark, I'll let you do the honors.
Thank you. Scott, Chip, Mike, you guys simply weren't going to be denied this year. On behalf of racing fans everywhere, if I can lift it, it is a pleasure to give this I can't lift it. Astor Cup trophy to Scott Dixon, the 2013 IndyCar champion.
And he gets the Astor Cup for the first time. Scott Dixon, your 2013 Eyes On IndyCar Series champion, Lee.
You made it. Does he talk?
Marty, thank you.
Thanks.
And again, we revisit that storyline that started all the way back at St. Petersburg, Florida, when he qualified 20th in the season opener and scrapped and fought. And the drive of that race very much reflects the drive of his championship, where he fought to get a 5th place finish. And that's how his year started. And he didn't let it put him down and fought all the way to be champion for the 3rd time. Pretty gritty stuff.
It is, and to think that he's just in his, he's in his mid-30s.
33, yeah.
33. I mean, with that much success under the belt,
yeah,
he's got another 10 years of potentially just racking up more wins and championships with the way that he drove this year. Really impressive.
And to get the team up from Target Chip Ganassi Racing, the guys who are based in Indianapolis. Of course, Chip has his NASCAR operation in Concord in North Carolina, but the sports car and IndyCar programs, of course, are out of Indianapolis. It's a hard-working crew. And it's tough, isn't it? It's hard when there can only be one. And there is the man who thought for a long time it was going to be him. He could finally see himself as being champion.
And I don't think Castroneves has anything to be ashamed of, worried about. In fact, I think he demonstrated to himself, to us, to the whole IndyCar community, he can make a mistake-free season and drive like an absolute champion, and it's just going to be luck of the draw. If he comes back and does what he did this year, there's a very good chance he'll be standing at the top step.
Next year, he's going to be tough, and I think this was a good, he's been close before, and he's gone through a lot. I mean, Houston was just a disaster for that race team.
Yes, and no fault.
But you take away Houston, I mean, these guys were championship material. There's no doubt about it. And so they're going to be tough next year.
They'll be back.
Of course, and naturally we're talking about championship because that's what it's all about. But let's go back to talking about the race, and it was a very good run from Ed Carpenter, Tony Kanaan. Let's talk about some of the other guys, and let's talk to the guys who finished on the race podium.
Yeah, we've had dual celebrations going on. While the championship celebration was going on, the podium right here, Will Power is still seated there behind us. Here's Ed Carpenter and Tony Kanaan. You almost got it again.
We were trying, just ran out of laps. We trimmed out a little bit for that last run, but Will was fast. He got away from us, and Tony and I raced for a few laps. Will got away, and then I just couldn't catch him.
And then he was trying to keep you from his sponsors' bonus, the Fuzzies 250 grand.
For sure, somebody came in the radio and said, please don't let TK win this one. So I'm happy that, he ended up the way he did. I didn't have anything for Will anyway, so just to take Ed's place was going to be useless. I didn't have anything for him either. We had a pretty eventful race. So I want to say hi to Dario at home. He asked me to finish in the podium and Dixon to win the championship. So here's your wish. Now we're going to ask you, please come back.
That was my problem. Every time I won a race, I've beat Dario. So get back soon, bud.
We saw the shop vac out in your pit, and everybody was dealing with the debris and the overheating. How challenging was it to manage everything?
Well, we knew it was going to be a problem. We were having cooling problems in the warm-up last night. So, someone really smart on our team came up with that shop vac idea last night.
Great drive tonight, guys. Great season. Very entertaining. We'll see you in 2014.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Ed Carpenter, Tony Kanaan, and that's Tony's last drive for KV Racing Technologies. He joins this team, the championship winning team for the 2014 season. We'll see you on the other side of this break where we'll wrap things up on Championship Day. We're back at Auto Club Speedway for the MAVTV 500 on IndyCar World Championship Day. And we can now say officially, Scott Dixon is a 3-time IndyCar champion. And what a fight it has been throughout this 2013 season. Just on an update and a medical update, we've got news from Stephen Wilson, Justin Wilson's brother, that he has suffered a pelvis fracture. He's also going to undergo an MRI to check his back. So not good. He's obviously going to be in pain, but it's a lot better than what it could have been. So Justin, as well as Dario Franchitti, get well soon, mate. And unfortunately for him, he dropped from 4th to 6th in the championship, but he's got the off-season to heal. So for both of you guys, we love IndyCar a lot. Great deal. We live this, we breathe this. What are you going to take away from this year?
I'm just going to miss it. I mean, the competition has just been furiously competitive this season. I've enjoyed working with you guys up in the booth. I mean, our excitement is natural because the racing is second to none, and I just can't wait for the start of next season.
I agree. The demonstration of the competition in this series this year was amazing. To see how many different winners we had, the rookie drivers that won races this year, the first-time winners. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it doesn't get much better than that, and next year should be better.
And it's an interesting schedule coming up in 2014. Very, very similar to this year, but it's condensed. The guys have got a big workload next year. There's some periods where they have 5 weekends in a row, some in 4 weekends in a row. We had a wonderful season. There's so much to talk about and so much to take from this. And this was a pretty wild way to finish the year, wasn't it?
This was incredible. This was just a battle. These drivers are going to be exhausted mentally, physically. And I know they'll wake up on Monday morning wanting to go again.
But this is the kind of stuff we want. This is the kind of stuff we expect,
It
right?
doesn't get much better. And if fans didn't like this tonight, they won't like anything.
And it's been very enjoyable having you with us here on your home of open wheel racing, that's for sure. So what a season we've just witnessed and enjoyed, spanning 11 different states, 3 countries, the diverse range of tracks, drivers and nationalities that we know this series proudly boasts was again highlighted. Proven open wheel heroes underscored their true talents yet again, and new and emerging stars put some of the more experienced ones on notice that a changing of the guard may not be too far away. Old friendships reaffirmed, new rivalries formed. The roller coaster of emotion and controversy this year was worthy of a Super Bowl thriller. And when we all open our eyes tomorrow morning, the general consensus will be, what an IndyCar season to remember. It's been our pleasure here on NBCSN bringing you all the action and excitement of the 2013 IZOD IndyCar Series. Thanks for taking the ride with us, and we'll see you in the new racing year. Nice move, Ryan Hunter-Ray.
Way to go, buddy, way to go!
No contact over the green.
Yeah!
Tomasato takes the twin checkers.
And on the inside, Hitchcock's at the over and under. And he wins his second one.
3 laps to go. Crash. Tony Kanaan has won the Indianapolis 500.
Mike Conway will win on the streets of Belle Isle. We've got a problem. 6 cars in the front straight.
Simon Pagenaud will become the 6th different winner this year.
Elio Castroneves will go to Milwaukee with a 22-point lead in the championship over Marco Andretti. Ryan Hunter-Ray is the winner.
James Hinchcliffe taking the win, his 3rd of the year.
Our IndyCar Racing returns to Pocono.
Ganassi running 1, 2, 3.
2 in TO, race number 1.
Oh, no! Dixon gets back-to-back victories. That's the kind of drive that wins championships.
We are green.
Oh, wow. Cannot hang on. The Iceman, 3 wins in a row.
Charlie Kimball to the bottom side. A late break. What a move by Charlie Kimball.
Charlie Kimball, you're an IndyCar race winner.
Dixon switched up. Oh, and he hits one of Power's guys.
Scott Dixon will be penalized. Will Power is a 3-time winner at Sonoma Raceway. Oh, wow. Will Power chopped Scott Dixon, and the championship contenders' day is over.
This is awesome.
Simon Pagenaud wins the Baltimore Grand Prix.
Awesome job, guys.
Massive championship implications. Dixon wins his 4th of the year.
Oil everywhere, man.
He's done, he's done.
Can you believe this? Will Power goes to the lead on the streets of Houston.
Will Power will lead
Oh, big crash. Third win of the year for Will Power. But Scott Dixon is your champion.